The apocalypse arrived. Acidic rain fell for 3 whole months. The world was in ruins, and a fog enveloped the city. In my past life, when the apocalypse came, we took in my second uncle's family who had nowhere to go, but unexpectedly they were a presence more terrifying than the apocalypse itself. They brazenly took our home, leaving us homeless on the streets, and ultimately, we died tragically under the erosion of the acidic rain. What I didn't expect was that our family was reborn back to a month before the apocalypse. This time, we just wanted to have our family by our side and live out the rest of our lives peacefully. I closed my eyes, my brows tightly furrowed. The acidic rain scorched my skin, and the rain, sweat, and blood stuck to my clothes, making me feel as if I was in a fiery hell. I struggled hard, trying to escape this heat wave. Suddenly, I sat up during my struggle, gasping for breath. And it took me a while to gradually regain consciousness. Before me was a dimly lit room. The bedding was clean and fragrant, completely devoid of any smell of acidic rain. Beneath me was an electric blanket that had been on for an unknown amount of time, so hot it burned. The phone beside my pillow kept ringing. I felt a bit dazed and mechanically answered the call. "Hello, Celine. We will arrive in M City tomorrow. Remember to have your family come to the station to pick us up at 3 in the afternoon." There was some noise on the phone, and Aunt Air's sharp voice came through. Hearing this familiar speech, I suddenly remembered that this was 1 month before the apocalypse, when Aunt Air's family was coming to visit us during the winter vacation, and they had called to inform us beforehand. I felt some disbelief and quickly got out of bed to pull back the curtain. The sunlight instantly entered the room. This was the sunlight that I would never see again after the apocalypse. My eyes turned red. Outside, the blue sky and white clouds were visible, and everything was still in order, with no signs of being eroded by acid rain as it was after the apocalypse. Hello, Celine. Are you still there?" The phone still had Aunt Air's voice, and I just hung up the call. The phone's screensaver appeared on the screen. December 25th, 2036. It was exactly 1 month before the apocalypse. I had reincarnated. Tears could no longer be held back. I'm back to a time when nothing had happened yet. This time, I'm definitely going to protect my family well. Last time, my uncle's family came to visit, but not long after the spring festival, acid rain fell without warning. The 6 of us were trapped at home, and our food was gradually being consumed. In the following month, social order collapsed, and people began to resort to any means necessary for a single meal. My uncle's family gradually revealed their true nature, taking over the rooms and forcing us into a small storage room. My parents were kind-hearted and stopped me from resisting, not wanting to cause any conflict with my uncle's family, but their kindness became a leverage for my uncle to control us. When the food was about to run out, my uncle asked us to go out and find food. We didn't expect that on the way back, we were robbed. Not only was our food stolen, but we also died from the erosion of acid rain. Thinking about this, I quickly opened the door to go find my parents. As soon as I opened the door, I met their hazy eyes. My parents cried and hugged me tightly. "Celine, I knew in my heart that they had also been reborn, and now, we 3 of us, are definitely going to stay together." My mother cooked a sumptuous lunch, all the dishes I love. We sat together, the familiar aroma filling our noses, sunlight streaming into the house, feeling warm. Both my parents were serving me food, and tears flowed again uncontrollably. I told my parents about the news that my uncle and aunt were coming, and my father got up to go to the balcony to smoke. My mother held my hand. "Celine, your father and I have discussed it, and we've decided to go back to the hometown." The hometown is a small village in the mountains of M City. Most of the young people who left the village for education have bought houses in the city and don't want to go back. There are very few families left in the village, and most of the remaining are elderly people without children or grandchildren. My father originally wanted to bring my grandfather to live in the city, but the old man had lived in the village all his life and didn't want to be disturbed anymore. My parents spent money to renovate the old house in the village, but last year, my grandfather passed away, and the house has been empty ever since. After thinking about it, I felt that Mom's suggestion was really good. The house in the hometown had only been renovated 3 years ago, and everything was still new. Moreover, for the convenience of the elderly, the house has a separate water purification system and solar energy, and there is also a basement, which is like a perfect post-apocalyptic fortress. "What about Uncle Air?" I asked. "Let them live here if they want." "Is this place really that good?" Mom said, her voice trembling. "Indeed, in the previous life, this building had several bullies, and our family had suffered a lot from them." I reached out and put my arm around Mom's shoulder. "Mom, don't worry. This life, we will definitely be fine." Okay, the next afternoon, as soon as we picked up Uncle Air's family, we heard Uncle Air's wife complaining. "Why did it take so long? We were supposed to come at 3 o'clock. It's so cold in this winter. What if I get frozen?" Ash, who is Uncle Air's son, said. Uncle Air's wife always boasted in front of our family that she had given birth to a son, and she considered herself a hero, but my mother only has me as her daughter, and she has been oppressed by my mother all her life. Ash was sitting behind me, kicking my seat with his foot. Poor guy, bad guy, do you want to freeze me to death? I clenched my fists and ignored them. Last night, our family had already discussed a plan. When the time comes, we'll say we need to go back to the hometown for our ancestral worship, leave the city house to them, and then we'll just slip away. When that time comes, I wonder how they will survive without us. Neither I nor my father said a word, and all I could hear was the voice of my uncle's family in the car. Suddenly, I caught a glimpse of red in my peripheral vision. Dad, stop for a moment. My father immediately stopped the car on the side of the road. What's wrong? I got out of the car. Dad, I'm going to buy Ash some snacks. After saying that, I closed the car door and left without looking back. From the car, I could hear my aunt's sharp voice. She still has some sense. When she gets married, if she is bullied by her in-laws, she'll still have to rely on us, Ash. I ignored it and went straight to the lottery shop I had just seen. I remember that in my previous life, on this very day, someone won 50 million at this lottery shop. At that time, the lottery shop made a banner out of the news and hung it up for many days. Back then, I even searched for that winning number specifically, and I still remember it now. So, at this moment, I immediately bought that lottery ticket. With the apocalypse approaching, a large stockpile is needed. While order has not yet collapsed, everything requires money to purchase. I held the lottery ticket in my hand, thankful that I remembered the numbers. This will be my first step in surviving the apocalypse. By the time I got home, it was already dinner time. As soon as I opened the door, Ash's toys were scattered all over the floor. My parents were busy in the kitchen, and my uncle was already sitting at the dining table, starting to eat. I hurriedly dragged my parents out to join them for dinner. My aunt's chopsticks were rummaging through the dishes, each one coated with her saliva. I say, big sister, how come there are only a few dishes for the new year? There's not even a chicken, duck, fish, or meat, leaving Ash without proper nutrition. I glanced at Ash. His bowl was piled high with meat. He's only 6 years old, 135 centimeters tall, and weighs 72 Gene. Is this called lacking nutrition? From head to toe, except for bones, there's probably only fat left. I forced a smile and said, Aunt Air, don't worry, my dad booked a table at the big restaurant tomorrow. We'll have a feast. After hearing this, Aunt Air finally closed her mouth and didn't say anything further. Go ahead and eat. There won't be such good days in the future. The next evening, we sat around the living room watching TV. Just like in a past life, the news began to report that in many places abroad, dark clouds covered the sky, with acid rain for half a month, and there was no sign of the rain easing. I exchanged glances with my parents, and we understood that there were only 28 days left until the acid rain arrived. Dad was the first to speak. Air younger brother, my dad just passed away, and the old house hasn't been tidied up yet. I plan to go back after the new year to sort it out slowly, but unexpectedly, the village head called us and said that the walnut tree in front of our house fell and smashed the roof, leaving a big hole. We need to hurry back and take a look. Air younger brother, I'm anxious. That house was just built a few years ago. My dad's grave is right next to it. I can't let the old man leave in peace. I have already bought the train tickets, and I'm leaving early tomorrow morning. Upon hearing this, my second uncle immediately slapped the table and said, So you're saying that as soon as we arrive today, we should be chased away? It's the new year, and everything is increasing in price. What do you expect us to eat? Where do you want us to stay? My second aunt also made a face, unwilling 1,000 times. It's just our big brother. We came all this way with great difficulty, and you want to chase us away? What do you mean? That old walnut tree didn't fall down before, and it didn't fall down after, but it just happened to fall down right after we arrived. Who would believe that? Seeing that a conflict was about to break out, my mom quickly stood up to mediate. Second brother, don't be anxious. Your brother doesn't mean it that way. My second uncle pointed at my mom's nose and said, So what do you mean? Oh. What your brother means is that you can stay peacefully at home and have a good time for a few days. Once we handle things over at the old home, we will come back. My mom pulled my second uncle's hand. There's everything at home. Nothing is lacking. If you need anything later on, just give us a call, and I'll have someone deliver it to your door. After hearing these words, I saw my second uncle and second aunt exchange a glance. Their eyes filled with calculation. I sneered coldly in my heart. What is there to calculate? When we return to our hometown, far from the Emperor, when the apocalypse comes, will you really have the chance for revenge? The next morning, when we packed our bags and went out, my second uncle's family was still not awake. After arriving at the station, I let my parents return to M City first and shared many apocalypse novels with them, so they could brush up on their knowledge about the apocalypse. I also requested to rent a larger warehouse, as described in the novels, to carefully plan what supplies we need and to go to the big mall in the city. I will temporarily stay behind to redeem the lottery tickets. In fact, there is one more thing that I don't plan to tell them, but I must do it. After staying in the hotel for 3 days, I finally waited for the day to redeem the lottery. Early in the morning, I rented a costume and went to the lottery center to exchange the tickets, looking at the bank text messages on my phone. So happy that I could almost fly. Afterwards, I immediately transferred 20,000 yuan to my second aunt, asking them to take Ash to the amusement park to play. Then, I went to the supermarket to buy a few pinhole cameras and 2 oversized suitcases. After finishing these tasks, I took my things and returned to the community, hiding in a secret spot in the garden, peering towards the unit door. Sure enough, my second aunt didn't let me down. In less than 10 minutes. Their family dressed up nicely and went out. I quickly went back home and installed the pinhole cameras, 1 set each in the kitchen, living room, bedroom, and balcony. I emptied the refrigerator completely, not even leaving any spices, leaving them only a small cabbage. Then, I went to the bedroom and cleared out the remaining clothes and blankets, focusing on leaving nothing behind, looking at the empty home. I left with great satisfaction. No, there were also Ash's snacks. I returned home and took all the snacks, not even leaving a piece of candy wrapper. I distributed everything to the elderly folks downstairs in the community and intentionally or unintentionally mentioned the acid rain abroad, reminding them to stock up on supplies. As for whether they took this as a rumor or seriously, that was not my concern. After that, I hurriedly bought a plane ticket back to City M. My dad just called to say that everything was ready, just waiting for my return, in M City. We stayed for another 5 days, and bought a lot of things according to the list from my parents: 300 caddies of rice, flour, oil, and grains, 100 boxes of snacks, 100 boxes of various fruit canned goods, 20 boxes of vegetables, 100 boxes of aquatic products and dried goods, 100 boxes of various pickled foods, 50 boxes of eggs and milk, 100 boxes of frozen foods, 50 boxes of various seasonings, 100 boxes of various instant foods, 50 caddies of various meats, and the most important thing, 200 boxes of purified water, 100 boxes of various daily necessities, 100 boxes of sanitary napkins, 100 boxes of tissues and towels, and many more seeds of vegetables and fruits, 100 packages, 100 caddies of fertilizer, considering that there would be no place to plant after the apocalypse. We also bought 50 large flower pots. In my previous life, we only survived for the 3rd month after the acid rain, but according to the pattern of post-apocalyptic novels, there might be more crises later, which we didn't know about. So, we also added 10 ice makers, 10 warm air blowers, 12 electric blankets, 10 diesel generators, 10 boxes of various self-defense items, 100 boxes of various medicines, and finally, 5 large ice cabinets and 3 refrigerators. Seeing the rented warehouse filled to the brim, we felt particularly satisfied. These days, I took some time to check the home surveillance, probably because of the 20,000 yuan I transferred. My second uncle hasn't been eating at home recently. He sleeps until the afternoon, then goes out to play until the evening, so he hasn't noticed that the house is empty, nor has he caused us any trouble. From the city to the hometown, it's still a 5-hour drive, so my father went out to book a large truck. My parents and I discussed, and decided that my father would drive the truck, while I would drive the car, each carrying part of the supplies, and we would make round trips to transport them. My mother would stay at home to organize the supplies. We got everything ready that night and set off immediately. Although they are all from the same village, the houses in the mountain area are generally far apart, and even the path in front of the house is paid for by the family themselves. So even though our family kept moving back and forth, it didn't attract attention. 5 days later, I collapsed on the sofa in my hometown, too tired to move. At that time there were still 14 days until the end of the world. The noon sun shone through the lush walnut tree in front of the house, entering the living room and slightly dispelling the cold of winter. This house has 3 floors plus a basement, and it's quite spacious. The basement isn't an ordinary dirt cellar. To enclose the water purification system, we specially used the remaining cement and tiles from building the house to decorate it. It looks just like a 4-bedroom, 2-living-room apartment, and there's no need to worry about water leakage or problems with snakes, insects, and rats. In the afternoon, Dad paced back and forth in the courtyard, then suddenly slapped his thigh and went into the house, standing in front of us. "There's still something missing at home." "What's missing?" Mom asked. "We need a wall," Dad pointed outside. "Look, without a wall, our house is completely exposed. If anything happens, there's no protection at all. It's not safe." Dad really thinks things through. Dad quickly called and contacted the worker to repair the wall. He also requested to reinforce it with steel-reinforced concrete, and to build a surrounding iron fence with electricity. The next morning, the workers arrived with the materials. All top quality. "What are you trying to prevent with your house being so secure, with height and thickness added, and iron railings?" "Well," Dad handed him a cigarette, "originally we just planned to install a wall. Later, we heard that wild beasts appeared in the mountains at an unknown time. In the village, we went to many homes and ate a lot of chickens and ducks. We were afraid to." "Master, if you can finish this in 3 days, I'll pay more, double the amount." The master, hearing this, happily took the cigarette and turned to signal the workers to start. Money talks. By the afternoon of the third day, the wall was built, high and thick. Once the electric fence was activated, it truly became an apocalyptic fortress. In the evening, we sat together comfortably for dinner while the evening news was being broadcast on TV. In the news, many places have started to rain, and experts predict that acid rain will also fall later, advising citizens to take protective measures and stock up on clean water. Isn't this day much earlier than the last life? Mom asked as she put down her bowl and chopsticks. Well, it is a few days earlier, but I don't know the reason, Dad said with a frown. I held my parents' hands and comforted them. No matter the reason, as long as our family is together, guarding our yard, then we are not afraid of anything. We calmly waited for the end of the world to arrive. On the fifth day of the countdown to the end of the world, dark clouds had lingered for several days, and the air felt oppressive. With no rain falling, I was charging my portable charger and tablet. After the end of the world, electricity and water would gradually be cut off, so I bought 200 high-capacity portable chargers along with a bunch of tablets and computers, downloading TV shows, movies, novels, and so on. It was at this moment that my second aunt called. Hello, Celine. Didn't your mom say there was plenty of food in the fridge? Why is it all empty? And it's been so many days. You must have eaten everything up before calling. Don't say that nonsense. It's your money. We never touched the fridge. If it wasn't for the continuous rain, I wouldn't have opened it. Did it start raining in M City? I was a bit surprised. The time seemed earlier. Don't talk about irrelevant things. Hurry up and buy something. You're making Ash hungry. You think we're going to find you trouble? After saying that, Aunt Air directly hung up the phone. I don't know when it started to wind. The wind blew for a while. I put down my phone and looked out the window. A drop of rain hit the window. Then more raindrops fell down. Pitter-patter. The mountain area was instantly covered by a layer of mist. The apocalypse officially began. The next morning, I was woken up by a ringing phone. I looked at my phone and it was again Aunt Air's call. I just hung up and blocked all their contact information. I stayed in the warm and comfortable bed, turned over, and continued to sleep while listening to the rain. I slept until noon, and only woke up when my mom called me for lunch. Coming downstairs, I saw my father sitting at the door smoking. I walked over and stood beside him. Celine, look. I followed my father's line of sight. I saw shallow depressions on the cement ground in the yard, and white smoke rising from it. This rain is more corrosive than the previous one. I suddenly remembered the solar panel on the rooftop. Just as I was about to step forward, my father called me back. Don't go. You're still asleep. We've been drinking northwest wind, the things that need to be stored. I've already stored them. It's just that we won't be able to take showers later. I touched my head and laughed. It's okay in winter. We don't need to shower every day. Besides, we can boil water. The problem now is this rain is strange. Yes, my father took a puff of his cigarette. It seems like it's even worse than last time. At the dining table, my father made a decision. Clear out the basement. We should be ready to move there at any time. This rain can corrode the cement ground. Even though the house in the hometown is new, it's not a material that can resist shells. It will be corroded by acid rain sooner or later. Fortunately, the basement wasn't cut corners. At night, I lay in bed and turned on the home surveillance, and the moment I saw it, I clenched my fists. The house was in a mess, with trash everywhere, and 3 people were sitting on the sofa watching TV, with open snacks and cigarette butts on the coffee table. This house, although we gave up on it, had been lived in for so many years, and now it's been ruined like this. It still makes me feel sad. I pressed my chest. Don't get angry. Don't get angry. There will be a day when they will be embarrassed, and it won't be too long. I opened the neighborhood communication group again, and there was a notice from the property management. It said that this time the acid rain was heavy, and people were advised to stay at home and avoid going out. If it was necessary to go out, they should take protective measures due to the acid rain. Disasters have occurred in many places, and citizens should pay attention to safety when going out. The government has been actively fighting against the disaster and dealing with the acid rain. Please the public not to panic and actively respond to the national call. In my previous life, I had also received such a notice, but the acid rain kept falling every day for 3 months straight without stopping. Along with the acid rain came not only disasters in various places, but also attacks by mutated animals, such as mosquitoes as big as fists, which could cause anemia with a single bite, but the virus they carried was particularly dangerous, leaving almost no chance of survival. Rescue personnel could not handle so many people, and hospitals were also overcrowded. What came gradually was food shortages, lack of survival resources, and then the collapse of order. At that time, the most terrifying thing was people's hearts. In the previous life, because it was close to the new year, And because my uncle's family was coming, my mother prepared a lot of New Year goods, and even slaughtered an extra pig, so our family didn't go out during the first month of the rain. Later, there was a water and power outage, and food shortages. We avoided the acid rain and the blood-sucking mosquitoes, but we couldn't avoid the persecution from my uncle's family. This time, I will not let them go again. The next day, there was the sound of a car horn outside the courtyard gate. I peered out to look, and it was the village head and a young man. Mom and Dad warmly welcomed the village chief and others. After sitting for a while, the village chief explained his purpose. Rune, we are actually distant relatives, from the same village. No matter what, we are all connected by ties of kinship. My dad repeatedly agreed. The village chief said, you see, the acid rain came suddenly, and many places have experienced disasters. So the village has decided to integrate the resources of each household, distribute them reasonably, and get through this tough time together. My father and I exchanged glances, our eyes filled with understanding. These people hardly socialize, but when something happens, they start talking about kinship, claiming to integrate resources. Who knows how much each household will actually get in the end? My dad pretended to be troubled and rubbed his head. Ah, village chief, as you said. The acid rain came unexpectedly. Our family originally planned to come back to tidy up before the new year to visit my dad's grave, thinking that once we finished, we could quietly celebrate the new year. We also didn't prepare anything. Just as we were about to leave, it started raining, which delayed us. We were still planning to ask the village if they could lend us a hand. After hearing this, the village chief's expression turned somewhat unpleasant. The young man beside him suddenly jumped up. Your family has such a big truck hidden in the back. It's obvious that you are transporting something. How could you have nothing at all? If you really have nothing, why did you build such a sturdy and tall wall? Rune, my family's truck is large and the walls of our yard are high. What does that have to do with you? Just because of the truck and the walls, do you think my family has hidden something? My dad shot him a sideways glance. Moreover, we came back before it rained. Can we predict the future? Were we prepared from the start to come back and take refuge? Rune was stuck and couldn't say anything. Hearing my dad call out his name, I recognized it was Rune, the infamous local thug and street punk in the village, uneducated and useless. He spends every day stealing chickens and dogs in the village. But he has some cleverness that allows him to persuade the village chief to come to my house, which makes some sense. Seeing that the situation was not good, the village chief smoothed things over and, after sitting for a while, pulled Rune away. However, when I watched Rune leave with that unwilling expression, I knew he definitely hadn't given up. I explained my views to my parents, and they also believed that Rune wouldn't give up so easily, so we needed to stay vigilant. During dinner, my second uncle called my mom's phone again. I took it, hung up, and blocked him. And I also blocked the number in my dad's phone so they couldn't find us anymore. I opened the surveillance footage and saw that after we hung up the phone, my second aunt was furious and smashed a lot of things in their house. Enough, Uncle Air scolded her. They won't answer. What good is it for you to smash things here? Take all the money you have on you. The most important thing now is to solve the immediate problem. Prices outside are getting higher and higher. If we don't buy food now, we won't be able to afford it. But, Aunt Air hesitated. This money is meant for Ash in the future, Uncle Air said. If we can't even fill our stomachs, what is there to save? Money can be earned again, but if a person is gone, then there's nothing left. In a bit, I will go out to buy things. You take good care of the kids at home, I scoffed. Uncle Air still had some brains, knowing a bit about priorities. At night, while I was lying in bed playing with my phone, I heard the sound of crickets coming from outside. I didn't turn on the light, quietly walked to the window, pulled up a corner of the curtain, and saw a few figures in the dark night discussing how to climb over the yard wall. I guessed correctly, Rune really didn't give up. I knocked on the door of the adjacent room, waking my parents in their bedroom. Rune went back to gather 3 companions, all of them rascals from the village, and arranged to come to my house together at night. The walls were towering high, and they exerted a lot of effort to finally get into the courtyard. At the main gate, I saw one person take out a wire and, within a few moments, pry open my house's big door. 4 people stealthily entered and began rummaging around. Half an hour later, they still hadn't found anything and gathered in the living room. Rune, didn't you say they had good stuff in their house? How come after searching around we haven't even seen a ball of yarn? Yeah, Rune, don't tell me you're just fooling us. How is that possible? If there was nothing, why would they have such a big truck? Rune sat on the sofa, puzzled. After a moment, Rune slapped his thigh and said, I got it. When they were building their house, I came by and had a meal. At that time, they were digging a cellar. There must be a cellar. Let's look again. The good stuff must be hidden in the cellar. This Rune really has some brains, but it's a pity he chose to target my house instead of anyone else's. Well, I'm sorry, but today you can only see what's in store for you. Who is it? What are you doing? My dad suddenly turned on the light, holding a shovel at the door of the living room, and with that imposing manner, he instantly frightened Rune and his companions. All right, Rune, your thieving heart doesn't die. Look at me today. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Saying this, my dad was about to strike someone with a shovel. Rune and his companions quickly climbed out of the window. In the yard, they were beaten by my dad and fled in all directions, wailing, "Don't be fooled by my dad's age. He usually does physical work, so his strength is not small," and he showed no mercy. One of them tried to open the yard gate, but that gate is not an ordinary door. It is not so easy to open. Seeing that they could not get out through the gate, they thought about climbing over the wall to escape. I quickly turned on the electric fence, and when Rune touched it, he got burned red, and in an instant, blisters formed, making him unable to speak from the pain. The others didn't manage to stop in front of the electric fence and were hurt to varying degrees. Seeing that they really couldn't escape, they had no choice but to kneel down and plead, promising never to target our family again. After quite a while, my mom reluctantly took out her phone and called the village chief to come and pick them up. It wasn't until late at night that the yard finally became quiet. We had lost our sleepiness and sat in the house by the fire. "Dad, do you think Rune will come back? It's hard to say right now. If we run out of food later, then who knows?" Dad rubbed his hands together. For a moment, the only sound in the room was our breathing. With nothing to do, I opened the monitor to check on my second uncle's family's situation. As soon as I opened it, I saw my second uncle rushing into the house in a panic, dropping the bag he was holding, and collapsing onto the sofa. Unable to move, my second aunt hurried to check the contents of the bag, which only had some ordinary instant noodles, biscuits, etc., and there weren't many. She began to complain again. "How come you were out for so long and only brought back this little bit? Is this enough for a few meals? Besides, Ash won't get any nutrition eating this." My second uncle, angered, sat up and pointed at my second aunt, scolding her. "What more nutrition do you want? This little bit of food is all I could get after running so far. There were people grabbing everything outside. I was only able to come back now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even had these." My second aunt shrank back in fright and said quietly, "I was just saying it casually." "What do you mean casually?" My second uncle unleashed all his frustration on my second aunt. The rest are some unnutritious topics, occasionally interspersed with a few curses aimed at our family. I turned off my phone and stopped looking at them. It seems that the situation in the city is more chaotic than I imagined. This is just the beginning, and I don't know what it will be like later. I am grateful in my heart that our family returned to our hometown early. Although there are still some restless people there, it's still better than the wolves and tigers of the city. When the sky was just light, Dad urged us to go to sleep while he stayed behind to keep watch. Half a month after the acid rain arrived, our family was packing clothes. Over the past half month, the corrosiveness of the acid rain has been increasing stronger. The cement ground in the yard has almost been completely eroded, and there are many more pits in the house. Even though Dad seals the holes with cement every day, he cannot withstand the rainwater that pours nonstop for 24 hours. As a result, when building the courtyard wall, Dad specifically paid extra to request a mixture of materials to resist acid rain. Therefore, under such high-intensity acid rain erosion, only the walls of the courtyard remain intact, but they are still worried about the safety of the house. And after an hour of discussion in a meeting, our family unanimously decided to move to the basement. There were too many supplies, and we could only manage to clear out 2 beds, then move some less necessary items to the locked room next to the main hall. When I bought the cameras initially, I didn't just buy 4. I was worried that they would be used later, and now they are indeed being used. I took out 2 and installed them in places on the first and second floors where they wouldn't get rained on, connecting them to the computer so that our whole family in the basement could see the outside situation. In the mountains, time passes without notice, and half a month has slipped by in a flash. The fog in the mountains has thickened, and whereas I could usually see the houses on the opposite peak, now I can barely see the crown of the old walnut tree. With the erosion from the acid rain, the once lush greenery has long turned brown and withered. The surroundings are silent, devoid of any signs of life, as if the entire world consists only of us. Fortunately, the days do not feel dull or lonely. I helped my parents clear out supplies, moving them to the basement one after another. During our free time, my parents sprinkled vegetable and fruit seeds into the flower pots, looking forward to the day they sprout. I occasionally exercised with my parents, practicing Tai Chi and feeling relaxed and happy when I thought of my second uncle's family again. I opened the surveillance footage. I saw that our home had already been occupied by 2 strong men. My second uncle was lying on the ground with a bruised face, unconscious, while my second aunt huddled in a corner with Ash, and all 3 had lost a lot of weight. I raised my eyebrows in surprise. I originally thought they could hold on longer, but I didn't expect that only a month after the apocalypse began, the casualties were already heavy. I flipped through the surveillance footage from the past month, starting from the night my second uncle went out to buy supplies. He went out almost every 2 or 3 days afterward, but the things he brought back were getting fewer, and the money was getting spent more quickly. My second aunt complained, and my second uncle complained too. Ash often threw tantrums due to hunger, and for the first time, my second uncle hit him. This kind of life continued for more than half a month, with frequent disasters in many places. The small disturbances in the city no longer had enough people to manage, with prices of supplies skyrocketing, stomachs going hungry, and theft and robbery going unmanaged. The order in the city gradually fell into chaos. Later, Ergio also started to rush for it, but his luck was not good. On the second try, he ran into the bully in the building, a muscular man of 180 centimeters, holding a wolf's tooth club, accompanied by a 178 centimeters underling. Neither of them were good people. In the end, without exception, it was Ergio and his team who were subdued. From then on, Ergio became the punching bag for the muscular man. No matter how happy or unhappy they were, Ergio was their outlet for venting. No matter what they went out to do, Ergio was always the one at the front. If it weren't for the fact that the muscular man truly looked down on Ergio's wife, she probably wouldn't have survived in the apocalypse. Finally, one night, Ergio's family discussed wanting to take back what belonged to them. Unfortunately, they overestimated their abilities. In the end, Ergio fainted, and the days ahead for Ergio's wife and Ash probably wouldn't be too good. I let out a long sigh. The national notice issued by the property management was still pinned at the top of the community group, but it was just there for show. As the group hadn't had any news for many days, the aroma of hot pot wafted in from outside the room, making one feel particularly satisfied in the cold and continuous rainy weather. After dinner, my dad and I watched an old movie in the living room while my mom cleaned up in the kitchen. We were just getting into it when suddenly, we heard Mom scream. The two of us got up quickly and went to the kitchen, where we saw a mosquito the size of a fist flying under the light bulb, buzzing constantly. My dad and I looked at each other, then I quickly turned around and got the insecticide and electric mosquito swatter I had prepared in advance. Fortunately, there was only one for now, and we quickly got rid of it, and also disinfected the areas where the mosquito had flown. This kind of blood-sucking mosquito carries very dangerous viruses. We both knew that if one had appeared, there must be many more hidden from our sight, waiting to attack. Rainy days are the best time for mosquitoes to hatch. We quickly took out the mosquito control equipment we had prepared and thoroughly searched the house inside and out. We found 3 more mosquitoes and some mosquito larvae in the bathroom. After thoroughly cleaning, we also took many preventive measures, and then we felt at ease. The blood-sucking mosquitoes only stayed for a short week, but even though we had made every possible preparation, Mom was almost bitten by a mosquito. Fortunately, when the blood-sucking mosquito just extended its proboscis, Dad stunned it with the electric mosquito swatter and then suffocated it with the insecticide. However, the mosquito's mouthparts are a bit sharp, and my mom still got hurt. Even though we quickly applied medicine to the wound, she had a fever for 2 days. 2 days later, her wound gradually healed, and the fever subsided, looking fairly energetic. We all breathed a sigh of relief. The winter in the mountains is always a bit colder than in the city, but today I felt that the electric blanket was so hot that I couldn't stand it and turned it off early. At 12 o'clock at night, I was just about to put down my phone and go to sleep when I suddenly realized that the electric blanket had been off for 2 hours. If it had been before, even last night, I would have been freezing, but today I don't feel that way. I got up to check the thermometer in the kitchen, and it had risen to 26 degrees Celsius, which is not the temperature the season should have. I hurried to my parents' room to wake them up. Dad was sitting in the living room smoking, and Mom was draped in a blanket, looking a bit weak. After a while, Dad let out a long puff of smoke and said, "Actually, since the day the acid rain came, whether it's time or other things, everything has felt quite different from the memories of the last life. Celine, before the water stops, hurry and turn on the ice maker, and take out the fan to be prepared for the coming high temperatures." Dad placed his hand on Mom's shoulder, holding the worried Mom close. "Since we are here, we might as well be at ease. We have prepared sufficiently in this lifetime, and nothing will go wrong." After hearing Dad's words, my heart instantly calmed down. Yes, what is there to be afraid of? Our family is together and we have so many supplies, even in the worst times. We won't have any regrets. That night, we prepared everything and stood ready, waiting for the high temperatures to arrive. In the next 3 days, although the temperature remained stable at 26 degrees, a sudden appearance of mutated red-eyed rodents caught us off guard. After a flurry of chaos, I finally figured out the rodents' weak points and began to handle them deftly. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, the sun shone through the acid rain, piercing through the hazy mist in the mountains and casting light on the yard. Dad had just dealt with a red-eyed rodent and thrown its body into the corner of the yard. I saw that the rodent he just threw out, under the sunlight, directly turned into a flat mouse slice. Slowly, the other rodent bodies he had thrown out also evaporated and shriveled up. Seeing this, I threw the rodent in my hand, which was not yet dead, into the sunlight. It didn't even have the chance to struggle and directly turned into a dry husk. I locked eyes with my father, and we both understood that the high-temperature apocalypse had arrived. At dinner, all of us in the family changed into cool summer clothes, and Mom made simple ice pudding and cold noodles. Within just a few hours, the temperature soared to 42 degrees, and it looked like it would keep rising. Fortunately, we live in a basement, where the temperature is much better than outside, but it's still 35 degrees. The next morning, I was awakened by the heat. The rain outside had stopped at some point, and the temperature had reached an astonishing 60 degrees. With the indoor temperature at 48 degrees, I opened the door, and a wave of coolness instantly rushed in, making every pore on my body open up in comfort. Dad had somehow placed a lot of ice blocks in the living room, and with the fan blowing constantly on them, it felt just like having an air conditioner. I lazily lay on the sofa, waiting for Mom to feed me. The seeds we planted before had sprouted, forming a lush green patch. The next day, the temperature continued to rise to 65 degrees, but perhaps because of the mist, the sun wasn't as scorching as the day before. The sun was setting, and just after we finished our meal, we heard the sound of car horns outside. When I opened the monitor, it was the village head and Rune again. The difference this time was that they brought 2 more men, all holding shovels, and they did not come with good intentions. Dad was right. Rune indeed wouldn't give up so easily. 10 minutes later, the village head was smiling, sitting in a drafty living room, while Rune and the other 2 men stood behind him with fierce looks. My dad handed over a cup of muddy water, saying, "I don't know what happened to these days. They've been tough. Let's just make do." When Rune saw the cup of water, he instantly jumped up. "What are you pretending for? We are starving, there's nothing to eat, and you all look just as plump as before, yet you say life is hard, Rune." I was about to retort when the village head interrupted me. After speaking, the village head still smiled at my dad. "Rune, at this point, there's no need for you all to hide anything. We are all from the same village. We share blessings and bear hardships together. Look, nowadays the village is filled with lonely elderly, and with this weather, there's nothing to eat. How do you expect them to get by? If your dad were still around, he definitely wouldn't just stand by." I understood. They were sure that my family had quite a bit of stuff. Suppressing the anger in my heart, I said, "Village chief, the village is facing difficulties and needs help. This is what the village committee should do. Why keep nitpicking with us ordinary folks? Moreover, my house has been empty for almost a year. Where could anything have come from?" "Celine, you are younger. This is not the place for you to interrupt," the village chief reprimanded me in a low voice. My dad smiled and smoothed things over. "Celine is not that young anymore. There are some matters that the younger generation should participate in, and still should involve themselves a bit. Look, Rune is busy helping you, don't you think? If it really isn't convenient, we can also lend a hand." As soon as he finished speaking, the 2 men behind him raised their shovels and looked at us threateningly. Dad stood up and gave me a look. I instantly understood his meaning and walked towards the back door. Rune kept staring at me. He has been harboring resentment since the last time we heard him. Seeing that I was about to leave, he hurriedly stepped forward to block me. "Celine can't leave. She's going to cut the power supply." Rune, with those 2 men, was about to grab me. My dad quickly turned around, took out the chainsaw that he had hidden earlier, and started it. Rune, along with those 2 men, was about to catch me. My dad quickly turned around, took out the chainsaw he had hidden in advance, and made a sound. Taking advantage of this moment, I quickly ran behind the door to turn off the electric fence switch. Dad held the crazily rotating chainsaw, and Mom also picked up a stick and followed him, forcing the village chief and the others out of the house. The last ray of sunset still lingered in my yard. Rune stepped back, and without noticing, a large part of his back was exposed to the sunlight, and the bare skin was instantly burned, with blisters starting to form. Rune let out a scream. The pain in his back made it impossible for him to stand, and he collapsed to the ground, closing his eyes and fainting. Our family was closing in, and seeing that the 2 men couldn't escape, they made up their minds and charged forward with a shovel. But how could such things compare to a chainsaw? In just a few moves, they were torn to shreds. Seeing that they couldn't defeat my dad, they tried to go around to attack Mom. Dad, seeing they were desperate and wanted to harm his family, didn't hold back anymore and charged forward with the chainsaw. I hurried forward, pulled Mom back, and retreated into the house. In the chaos, blood began to spray out, and the wailing sounds rose and fell. The village chief and his group could only keep retreating. Village chief, we can't retreat any further. Behind us is the electric fence," one man said tremulously. The village chief suddenly came to his senses. In front of him was his father advancing with a chainsaw, and behind him was the electric fence watching like a hawk. "Rune," the village chief shouted. "Rune, calm down. Vaughn's hand is about to break, and Cassius is also injured because of you. Do you still want to cause a death?" My dad snorted. "What kind of world is this now? You think I don't know? Today, when I bring this saw down, let's see who ends up worse." The village chief saw that he couldn't fool my dad and started to panic. Actually, shortly after the end of the world began, they ran out of food. The village is not like the city where you can still buy something at high prices. Most of the village is self-sufficient, and there's only a small shop far away. They had long since become emaciated from hunger. If it weren't for Rune's instigation, saying that my family had good things and driven by profit, they wouldn't even want to move due to starvation. The village chief kept begging for mercy, nearly on his knees. A pool of blood was under their feet. Vaughn's arm hung lifelessly, short but not short enough. Cassius had lost too much blood and was swaying, while Rune was still unconscious on the ground, unmoving. Father looked like it was enough. He didn't want to go too far. Village chief, I still have humanity today. I respect you as the village chief. If something really happens someday, no one will take care of you. I received my father's instruction to turn off the electric grid. The village chief dragged Rune, and the group left in a hurry. In the night, father stood in the courtyard without moving. My mother hurried out and pulled him back. At that moment I saw clearly. Father was also covered in blood. Sweat and blood mixed together. His clothes were already soaked. Father, I said, worried, and called him softly. Celine, don't be afraid. Father is here. Just those words made my nose ache, and tears flowed uncontrollably. My heart felt aching but also full. That is family. Father went to take a shower, and mother came to my side, pulling me back into the basement, and the heat immediately eased by half. Celine, my mom gently hugged me. I know. You can't get over the fact that Von Cassius got hurt today, but the end of the world doesn't know when it will come. People's hearts will only become worse. Don't be afraid. Your parents will always be by your side. Hearing my mom's words, my worries and discomfort faded a bit, and I became more determined. That night, it was the most peaceful sleep I had since the end of the world. The high temperature had lasted for a whole month, and the electricity in the mountain had already been cut off on the second day when the village head came. However, we had complete equipment at home, and our life was not greatly affected. I was still worried about my uncle in the city, so I turned on the surveillance again. The screen was completely black, and the image showed the words, "Plug in the power." I understood in my heart that the city must have also run out of water and electricity. I had no choice but to look at the surveillance footage from before the power went out. More than a month ago, the strong man occupied my house, and they slept in 2 different rooms. My uncle was knocked out, and my aunt had to drag him and Ash to spend the night in the kitchen. The next day, the second aunt was awakened by the buzzing sound. When she opened her eyes, she found that they were surrounded by more than a dozen blood-sucking mosquitoes. One was perched on Ash, sucking a big lump, while another was preparing to bite the second aunt. She waved away the mosquitoes on her body and hurried to swat the ones on Ash. She didn't notice that the mosquitoes' mouth parts were sharp, and she already had a wound on her hand. Blood-sucking mosquitoes are not so easy to kill. Even we barely managed to deal with them using electric mosquito swatters and insecticides. Therefore, even if it's possible to avoid being bitten, you still cannot escape. Ash is still just a child. Due to not being well fed for days and losing too much blood to the mosquitoes, his cheeks were sunken, and he looked weak. By the time the second aunt came to her senses and looked at her second uncle, the mosquitoes had already gorged themselves on him, with only a breath left. Her second uncle had truly passed away this time. The second aunt quickly pounced, wailing loudly, and this cry woke up 2 strong men. When they came out and saw the sky filled with large mosquitoes and the second uncle drained of life, they were shocked and immediately grabbed weapons to fight the mosquitoes. It took them a long time to completely eliminate the mosquitoes. Then, they turned to Xander. Dead. Throw him out. It's bad luck. Xander's wife held Ash and didn't say a word. While they were throwing the body away, I heard Xander's wife say, "You're dead. And I and Ash still have to live on, if you're to blame. It can only be because you're too useless." I laughed in anger. This family is really selfish, each for themselves when disaster strikes. That night, Ash developed a high fever and became delirious, speaking incoherently. Xander's wife was terrified and started searching through the cabinets for medicine. In fact, there was medicine at home, but not much. With the arrival of the apocalypse, these things had long become rare. The strong man would rather lock the medicine in a safe. How could he leave it out in the open? Xander's wife made a lot of noise while searching, which woke up the strong man in the middle of the night. They kicked her, sending her flying far away and hitting the corner of the wall, making her unable to move for a while. The strong man sat on the sofa smoking. Xander's wife took a while to slowly sit up. She crawled toward them, crawling while unbuttoning her clothes. "Please, my son has a fever. Please give me the medicine. Just 1 pill would be enough." The burly man looked at her playfully, not moving. "I beg you, considering that his father has helped you take so many things, just 1 fever-reducing medicine will do. Please, please save my child." Second aunt cried in a sorry state, lying crouched at the burly man's feet. She was left with only a piece of underwear. Days of hunger had left her emaciated rather than strong like before the apocalypse, with protruding vertebrae and small lumps sticking out on her back, which did not make her look appetizing. The 2 burly men exchanged glances and then laughed mockingly, their laughter growing louder. "With your old body that can't even tell front from back, how can you be worthy? Ha ha ha." After a while, they had laughed enough. One kicked second aunt in the stomach and kicked her back under the table. The slightly shorter younger brother walked over. tied second aunt and the table leg together with a rope, and spat at her. Old thing, stay still. After the second aunt was dragged away, the remaining strong man took out a fever-reducing pill, walked up to the sleeping Ash, and stuffed the pill into his mouth. I could clearly see the greed on the strong man's face. Sure enough, the strong man said a cruel word, "Little thing, grow well, you are delicate and tender, a rare two-legged lamb." After that, the two ignored them and turned to continue sleeping. The second aunt was not wearing clothes, and her exposed skin attracted mosquitoes. She did not survive that night. Ash indeed refunded the money, but the subsequent red-eyed rats dragged him down to hell. In the end, the mother and son were both thrown out of the house. At this point, the causes from the past life finally had a result. I put down my phone, closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and slowly exhaled. My heart was filled with mixed feelings. I didn't feel relieved, but there was no pity either. This was what they deserved. Later, our family continued to live in the mountains for 3 more years. During this period, we experienced high temperatures, extreme cold, dense fog, polar day, and polar night. With no sun or moon in the mountains, our family was together, and we never felt that life was hard to bear or hopeless. On the spring festival of the 4th year, our family sat together eating dumplings, and the old radio left by grandfather suddenly made a sound. A deep and inspiring male voice came from it. "Dear citizens, today we announce that the temperature and weather have returned to normal. The apocalypse is over. Welcome everyone back home." I hurried out of the basement, and everything in front of me was clear. The distant mountains were vividly displayed before my eyes. The sunlight warmly poured over me, and the old walnut tree in front of the door had sprouted tender buds. My parents and I embraced and cried. A month later, we packed our bags and returned to the city, where everything was in disarray, and every person's face was filled with a joyful smile. Later, I heard that those 2 strong men had been controlled by the military as soon as the high temperatures began. It's great that the country has never given up and has been working hard all along. Story 2. I won the lottery for 30 million, but my fiancé stole the ticket, cashed it, and then ran off with my best friend for a vacation abroad. Soon after, the apocalypse broke out. Poorly prepared, I was on the brink of starvation when my neighbors broke in, killed me, and consumed my body as a delicacy. Unexpectedly, I was reborn. Well, this time, it's your turn to face hell. Clang. A loud noise startled me awake from the darkness. Groggily, I rubbed my head and forced my eyes open. Sunlight streamed through the blue curtains, dazzling and disorienting me. I reached for my phone on the bedside table. The display showed October 26, 2029, 7 a.m. I touched my arms and stretched my legs. My God, I was whole again. Wasn't I butchered and eaten by those malicious neighbors? The pain felt like it had just happened. Could it be that I was reborn, and back to the day before the lottery results? With 7 days left until the zombie apocalypse, tears of excitement streamed down my face. It must be fate, and this time, I am determined to survive. Don't panic, I need to plan carefully, ensuring nothing goes wrong. What preparations should I make? First, I need to stockpile enough supplies. Wasn't it the lack of provisions that nearly starved me last time? And a safe house, that's crucial too. Otherwise, even if starvation doesn't kill me, the desperate could break in, threatening my life again. These are harsh lessons learned. But all this requires money. Wait. Didn't I win 30 million last time? By my calculations, the draw is tomorrow night. That money must be a godsend to save my life. I'll quit my job immediately and start looking for a safe house. I must act fast, fast, fast. I opened the desk drawer, took out the lottery ticket I bought last night, and secured it. Then, grabbing my backpack from the table, I checked for my ID and bank cards before heading out. Thud, thud, bang. What now? I yanked the door open, and a football flew straight at my head. I narrowly dodged and caught it firmly with both hands. "Give me back my ball." Now, a chubby boy around 5 or 6 years old screamed at me, balling his fists ready to strike. It was a recurring drama. The chubby boy was the spoiled child from the family across the hallway, pampered through 3 generations. He was the notorious bully of our building, often engaging in petty thefts and harmful pranks, with his parents invariably defending him. Everyone in the building steered clear of them. In my previous life, lacking supplies and seeing their precious grandson growing thin from hunger, his cunning and ruthless grandfather teamed up with his son to break into my home to steal supplies and kill me. Those earlier noises must have been him hitting my security door with his ball. This building, an old-style apartment with 1 elevator serving 4 units per floor across 18 floors, varied in size, with some units rented and others owner-occupied. I was a tenant, renting a small 1-bedroom apartment on the 8th floor. Besides me, the other neighbors owned their homes. The chubby boy's family of 5, spanning 3 generations, lived in a 3-bedroom apartment directly across from mine. They always acted superior, despising me as a mere tenant, ready to bully me at any opportunity. They even deliberately left their garbage at my doorstep, sometimes blocking my door. If not for the agent convincing me to pay a year's rent up front and the penalties for breaking the lease, I would have moved out long ago. Being poor and just a regular worker, when can I ever afford my own house? Even my rent comes from scrimping and saving, so to turn my life around, I've been buying a lottery ticket every month, dreaming of striking it rich overnight, and it's finally paid off after 2 years, if all goes well. I'll win 30 million tomorrow, even after taxes. That's over 20 million, just thinking about it excites me, and my days of poverty will soon be over. Seeing the chubby little boy's fist coming my way, I really felt like slapping him, hesitating. The noise seemed to have caught someone's attention, and the door across opened. The boy's grandfather came out, his swollen, aged eyes glaring fiercely at me. I decided to hold back. I handed the football back to the chubby boy, dodging his fist, catching the ball. The boy didn't even thank me but spat at me instead, then lifted his chubby leg to kick me. Avoiding the old man's glare, I sidestepped and quickly walked past the boy, hurrying down the stairs with their curses following behind me. I couldn't afford to confront them, lacking the strength for now. I needed to focus on preparing, descending to the basement garage of the complex, which, despite its age, was quite large with 18 buildings and an underground parking lot with decent facilities. Fortunately, I had just bought a cheap second-hand van last month, planning to stock up on small items from the wholesale market and sell them at the night market after work. Having a vehicle made things more convenient, and now it was proving useful. My name is Cecilia. I'm 26 years old and have been working for 6 years. Although my salary isn't high, I'm frugal, so I've managed to save over 100,000 yuan in my bank account. Actually, I don't have any family. My parents divorced when I was 3, and my mother remarried soon after and had other children. She hasn't looked back in over 20 years. My father left soon after the divorce too, disappearing without a trace, likely no longer alive. I grew up with my grandparents until they passed away one after the other 8 years ago. In a hurry, I arrived at my company and submitted my resignation, claiming a family emergency back home, being just an ordinary employee, easily replaceable. The manager approved it almost immediately and even gave me an extra month's salary as a humane gesture. Cecilia, what happened at home? Do you need my help? My colleague Wendy asked with concern. Such a kind girl. I wonder what happened to her in her last life. I glanced at her, wanting to say something but then thought better of it. I'll remind her in a couple of days. It might raise suspicions if I say it now. Wendy, thank you. It's nothing major. Just that my mom is sick and I need to go home to take care of her. Luckily, I never talk about my personal life, so lying came naturally today. I packed up my personal items from my desk and drove away from the company. All the way, I pondered over the safe house. A rental was out of the question, too small and insecure with nasty neighbors around. Going back to my old home, even worse. The house must have collapsed from years of neglect. Only buying a property, a large one, possibly a villa, would do, but where would I find a suitable property? A sudden spark of inspiration struck my mind. Why not use the internet? I quickly grabbed my phone and opened a real estate app. There were plenty of villas available, but most were under construction and wouldn't be ready in time. There were some existing homes, but only a few, and they were mainly in busy urban areas, which didn't seem safe. It would be better to find a place in the suburbs or the countryside. It didn't have to be a villa. A detached house would do, or somewhere with less foot traffic. Oh, that's right, an idea sparked again. Last month, during a team-building event at my company, Wendy and I were hiking and passed by a secluded cottage in the mountains where we stopped to ask for water. The yard was large, the house was spacious, and it was built against the mountain with very high walls. At the time, I wondered why someone would build such a nice house deep in the woods. Now, it seemed like the perfect safe house. Coincidentally, the lady mentioned they were planning to rent it out and even gave me a phone number to help find tenants. Oh no, I hope she hasn't rented it out yet. Quick, where's that number? I think this is it. I even made a note of it at the time. Hello, ma'am, I'm the person you gave your phone number to last time. I wanted to ask if you've rented out the house yet. Oh, you haven't? Yes, I'd like to rent it. How much is the rent? Could you possibly lower it a bit, given its remote location halfway up the mountain? Who would rent it? A hidden gem. I have to pay the rent and sign the contract before you'll tell me. I need to go through an agency. All right, please send me their phone number. I'll head there right away. Goodbye. 50 kilometers away at Phoenix Mountain, miss. You really have an eye for beauty. That house by the mountain and water is gorgeous. If it weren't for that grandma's son buying a big villa in the city and insisting they enjoy city life, she wouldn't dream of renting it out. Seeing that I wanted to rent, the young agent was very enthusiastic. Yes, I stumbled upon it by chance and fell in love with it. I thought it would be a comfortable pastoral life for my parents. I didn't want anyone to know I'd be living alone because that could be dangerous. Soon, I signed the rental contract and paid 40,000 yuan for 2 years. I paid for 2 years up front, and if I'm still around, I'll renew the lease. The agent handed me the full set of keys. I used the remote to open the gate and drove in. I didn't have much time to look around during my last visit, but today I realized My goodness, this is indeed a ready-made safe house. First, the yard is huge. Bigger than a soccer field, with flowers, grass, a vegetable garden, rockery, a pond, stone tables, stone benches, and wooden lounge chairs. Importantly, there are 2 large water wells in the corners of the yard, each topped with a pavilion, likely built to cover the wells. There's also a large garage next to the house. The outer walls are about 5 to 6 meters high, partly made of thick bricks and lined on the inside with 20 centimeters thick steel plates. The top of the wall is covered in dense, sharp glass shards about 30 centimeters long, and the courtyard gate is made of a bomb-proof material that's probably not available on the market. The lock is a high-security remote-controlled burglar lock, and there seem to be cameras over the main gate. The house has 2 stories, with bulletproof doors and windows. The total area is about 500 square meters. The first floor includes a living room, dining room, 4 storage rooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom. The second floor has 2 studies and 6 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom and fireplace. The house is not only fully furnished with appliances but also equipped with everything necessary for daily living, such as a double stove and an exhaust hood in the kitchen. The house is equipped with an electric water heater, various pots and pans, and 2 large water storage tanks. The bedroom has dozens of quilts of various thicknesses and a desktop computer on the desk. The storage room contains several boxes of napkins, flashlights, candles, 2 heaters, a barbecue grill, and 20 baskets of smokeless charcoal. Half of the roof is completely covered with photovoltaic solar panels, while the other half has 2 solar water heaters, and there are 2 large water pumps in the pavilion. It's really wonderful. I was so excited I almost jumped up. If it weren't for the fact that they have left now, I would have wondered whether these 2 elderly people had time traveled from the future. It would be even better if there was a basement. Suddenly, my phone beeped. Hello, Auntie. Yes, I am very satisfied, but I just have a question. Why did you? I knew you'd be curious. Let me explain briefly, she replied. It was purely by chance that we built our house there, 5 years ago. Our family traveled there and instantly fell in love with the location. Have you noticed that my family's courtyard is nestled against the mountains and near the water? Right. My son is in the real estate business, and he cares a lot about feng shui, so he bought that piece of land on the spot, and later built that house. Oh, you have no idea. Constructing that house took a lot of time and, of course, cost a fair amount of money. My son, being in the construction business, often travels around. Usually, it's just us, the old couple at home. The place has good feng shui, but being in the deep mountains and forests, we were afraid of wild animals and, even more so, of the possibility of fugitives hiding out. So for safety, my son designed and built it himself to the standards of a bank vault, top-notch quality. The feng shui there is indeed great. We hadn't been living there for even 3 years when my son made a fortune. Now, we live in this detached villa, which he also built, with first-class security facilities. 4 stories above and 2 below, with a huge basement. Mentioning the basement, I couldn't help but ask, Auntie, why doesn't your courtyard house have a basement? Wouldn't it be safer with one? My dear, may I ask how many people are staying in my house? Just you. That's good. Did I ever tell you that this house has its own hidden wonders? She said mysteriously. Hidden wonders. You mentioned that before. What does it mean? I was very curious. Go to the 2nd floor study on the left. Behind the desk there is a large bookshelf. If you push that bookshelf aside, do you see a small protruding button by the wall? Press it. I see it. Let's give it a try. What's going on? The wall actually moves. It's a door, and the material outside is brick, but inside it is thick steel, and what's more peculiar is that the door can be locked from the inside. Quick, go in and take a look. It's much better than a basement. Before she finished speaking, my curiosity had already taken me inside. My God, what is this place? A huge cave, large and long, extending more than 500 meters deep, with a height of about 6 meters, and there are about 10 smaller caves on both sides. Each small cave has a door, also of blast-resistant level, using the best anti-theft locks. 3 of the caves are refurbished into luxurious bedrooms, each at least 60 square meters, equipped with beds and mattresses, large wardrobes, LCD TVs, desktop computers, sofas. Opening the wardrobe, inside there are blankets, quilts, electric blankets. The bedroom includes a luxurious 4-piece bed set, opulent chandeliers, bedside lamps, a fireplace in each room, and a private bathroom. Moving beyond the bedroom, there are 3 caverns, each roughly 100 square meters, utilized as storage areas. These are secured with explosion-proof doors and feature a simple interior design. The floors are covered with ceramic stone-like tiles. Around the perimeter of these small caves, about 1 meter above the floor, there's a robust platform made from the hardest iron birchwood that encircles the cave. It's covered with top-quality moisture-proof fabric, and underneath, there are several large boxes of desiccants. Further inside, 2 slightly smaller caverns, each about 80 square meters, serve specific functions. One has been transformed into a modern kitchen equipped with large dual gas stoves, an exhaust hood, An induction cooker, rice cooker, oven, microwave, and various other kitchen appliances, both big and small. There's also a large dining table, 3 side-by-side large refrigerators, 2 big freezers, and 6 extra large water storage barrels. The other cavern neatly stores hundreds of gas cylinders on one side, and on the other side, it's densely packed with high-quality smokeless charcoal. The remaining 2 caverns are particularly spacious, each around 200 square meters. One houses 2 high-power generators, a water pump, 2 active dehumidifiers, a large exhaust fan, and a fresh air system. No wonder the air inside is so fresh. The last cavern has been converted into a waste and sewage treatment area. Continuing further, I reach a large door in the main corridor. Upon opening it, wow, is that really an exit? On closer inspection, it's not exactly an exit but a courtyard-like space, roughly 300 square meters, bathed in sunlight. It's surrounded by steep cliffs, with a spring at the top of one cliff and 2 patches of vegetable garden beside it. In the middle of the courtyard, there's a well with a small pavilion above it and a large clothesline made of steel wire near the mountainside. It's truly an eye-opener. I can hardly believe what I'm seeing. What kind of luck is this? Did I save the galaxy in my past life? I was only wronged to death. Surely, God isn't just compensating me like this. As I'm lost in these thoughts, my phone rings again. My girl. Have you finished touring? How does it feel? Auntie's voice cuts through. It's magical, truly unexpected. I'm so excited that I'm actually trembling. Then Auntie's next words take me by surprise. If I weren't old, I'd really hate to leave that place. I love the courtyard and the cave so much. Renting out the house isn't about money for me. After all, a house needs to be lived in to avoid falling into disrepair. That day I could tell right away that you have a good heart. And I was so happy you wanted to rent. That's why I also shared the secret of the cave with you. By the way, feel free to use anything in the house. We can't take them with us and probably won't need them anymore. Even though you've only paid 2 years of rent, as long as you like, you can live there without having to pay rent in the future. Auntie, how can that be? I'm touched. It's okay, child. Just be sure to stay safe. Goodbye. Okay. Goodbye, Auntie, now that I have a safe house. Next up is stocking up on supplies. I spent $40,000 on rent, and with today's paycheck, I only have just over $70,000 in my bank account, which might not be enough to buy all the supplies. I have $30 million coming in 2 days, but I can't afford to waste these 2 days. Where can I find money? Right, PayPal credit, Amazon's monthly payments, Apple Pay later. These are all sources of money. Although the limits aren't very high, they can still provide some temporary relief. Wait a minute. Didn't I get a credit card last month when the bank staff came to my company? I think the limit was 30,000 yuan. Oh my, this is just like timely help during a snowstorm. The lottery draws tomorrow night, and I can claim the prize the day after that. So I'll use the credit card to buy another 30,000 yuan worth of lottery tickets. It's 3 in the afternoon now, and besides buying lottery tickets, I have other things to do. I must say, our country's infrastructure capabilities are truly world-class. Even in such high and steep mountains, they managed to build a road that is both spacious and flat. My semi-old van can even reach a speed of 100 yards. Beep, beep. The phone on the passenger seat suddenly rang. Hello, I turned on the Bluetooth. Cecilia, what time do you get off work today? It was my boyfriend Leo on the phone. This scumbag, in my last life, knew I won 30 million, stole my lottery ticket, cashed it, and then ran off to Europe for a vacation with my best friend. Sunshine and beaches by the sea, Western meals in upscale hotels, luxury goods from designer stores. The two of them frivolously squandered the money that was rightfully mine, and even flaunted it on social media with a grid of photos. What's worse, after the apocalypse broke out, while I was cold and hungry, they sent me videos of themselves living in a luxurious seaside villa and dining on seafood, tagging me to watch. It was then that I realized that scumbag Leo had always been drooling over my best friend Jolene, but at that time, the charming Jolene never considered the poor Leo. To get close to Jolene, Leo pursued her best friend, me. Since I lacked family warmth from a young age, I longed for love, and Leo, being quite handsome, easily trapped me with his sweet pretenses. After Leo got the huge lottery prize, he confessed to Jolene and promised to take her around the world. Seeing that the scumbag had so much money, Jolene was tempted. Leo, I've been suddenly sent on a business trip for a few days by my company. I haven't had the chance to tell you yet. I need to hurry up and stock up. I don't have time for you, scumbag. Oh, is that so? I was hoping we could go out for a nice dinner tonight. I saw that a new Western restaurant opened in the west of the city. They are having a grand opening and offering a 50% discount these days. Didn't you say you wanted to try Western food? This could be a great opportunity. Such a phony. When did I ever say I wanted Western food? We've been dating for nearly a year, and he's never paid attention to what I like to eat. The last thing I like is Western food. It must be his own preference, or perhaps Jolene's, but he's trying to pin it on me and freeload a meal. Every time we go out, he pretentiously offers to pay the bill. But then his phone is out of battery. Or he suddenly needs to use the bathroom, and I end up paying every time, foolishly willing. God, I'm such a naive fool. I really want to slap myself. Leo, I'll contact you when I get back. I have to deal with something urgent now, so I can't talk. Okay, Cecilia, be safe out there. I'll wait for your return. The more I heard, the more disgusted I became, so I quickly hung up after driving the van into the city center. I first went to the regular lottery ticket outlet in the Central District and maxed out my credit card buying the same set of numbers. Then I went to the electronics wholesale market and bought 15 hidden cameras, and then returned to the apartment. Taking advantage of an empty corridor, I discreetly installed a camera above the outer security door. One camera was installed facing the main door inside the living room. Another was placed in an inconspicuous corner of the bedroom, and additional ones outside the windows of both the living room and bedroom. After adjusting the focus and connecting them to my phone, I was ready to see how that scumbag from my past life stole my lottery ticket and to watch how he and that deceitful woman met their ends. Fortunately, although we were romantically involved, I am quite conservative. Moreover, since the scumbag's workplace was far from my rental house, we didn't live together, and he didn't have the keys to my place. After setting everything up, it was completely dark outside. To be on the safe side, I left the rental house and drove my van towards the downtown area. I arrived at a hotel, parked in the underground garage, then went upstairs to book a single room and ordered some takeout. After a long day, I needed to fill my stomach first, while eating. I browsed the headlines on my phone. If I remembered correctly, on this day in my past life, I saw a small, inconspicuous news item about an unidentified creature biting people in a coastal city of our country. I had initially dismissed it as a sensational fake, but it was probably from then that the zombie virus began using humans as its hosts, although I was mentally prepared. The shock was still palpable when that two-line news piece appeared again. Wait, there's more. A hospital in Sun Country detected a patient carrying the X virus, believed to be due to nuclear wastewater. Several people in Kimchi Country were infected with the rabies virus. Why is it somewhat different from my previous life? Could it be happening sooner, in this life? Can I survive? Suddenly, my phone vibrated with an incoming video call from Jolene. Cecilia, where are you? It doesn't look like your rental place. A charming face appeared on the screen. I'm on a business trip. There was a sudden issue at work. Jolene, what's up? I suppressed my inner disgust and forced a smile. How long until you return? I want to go shopping with you. It's time to buy some new clothes for the season. I might be a few more days, but I'll accompany you once I'm back. Okay. To avoid arousing her suspicion, I kept my tone gentle. After all, in her eyes, I was her lackey, and saying no was not an option. Okay then. You go ahead with your work. She ended the call efficiently. Ha. Dream on, I'm done serving you. At 6 a.m., my alarm went off. I quickly got ready and drove the van to buy supplies. It was too early and the supermarket wasn't open yet, so I headed to the farmer's market first. To save time, I mentioned that there was a celebration at home and bought 5 chickens and 5 ducks from 4 different vendors, requesting them to be slaughtered within an hour. While waiting, I went to a general store in the market and bought 2 boxes of food bags, 2 vacuum sealers, and both large and small vacuum bags. At the grain and oil store, I bought 200 pounds each of vegetable oil and blended oil, a sack of salt, and 30 packets of sugar, each weighing 1 pound. Considering the limited space in the van and the need to navigate mountain roads, I could only buy so much at a time. I would need to purchase the rest next time at a large supermarket or other places. It might take a few more days to gather all the necessary supplies. Around 10 a.m., my first load of supplies arrived at the safe house. Due to time constraints, after unloading, I packed the slaughtered chickens and ducks in food bags and temporarily stored them in the large refrigerator in the kitchen. The rest of the oil, salt, and sugar were placed in the storage room next to the kitchen. From the city center to the base of Phoenix Mountain, it's over 50 kilometers. Driving only takes half an hour, but reaching the halfway safety cabin on the mountain takes over an hour due to the higher altitude. Thus, managing 2 trips in a day is the most we can do for transporting supplies. In the afternoon, I can only manage 1 trip to transport supplies up the mountain. For this trip, I plan to purchase everyday necessities, as I will officially move into the safety cabin tonight. At the largest wholesale market for daily necessities in the downtown area, I bought 20 towels, 10 bath towels, boxes of toothpaste, toothbrushes, shampoo, shower gel, 10 units of laundry detergent, 2 large items each of toilet cleaner and dishwashing liquid, 5 boxes each of large and small trash bags, and 10 pairs each of flip-flops and cloth slippers. Looking at the van stuffed with supplies, I suddenly realized that this method of transporting goods is too time-consuming. The van is too small, and there are still many food items and essentials I haven't purchased yet. How many trips will this take? With only 6 days left until the apocalypse, I need to find another solution. What should I eat tonight? There's no more room in the van. I even have to give up buying the essential rice and various seasonings. Oh well, I'll just get some takeout from a restaurant. When I drove the fully loaded van into the courtyard at 6 p.m., I was both tired and hungry. Climbing out of the driver's seat, I sat down on a stone bench in the courtyard. It took me a while to catch my breath. No. I need to fill my stomach first. I picked up the packaged meal from the van and headed to the kitchen. Half an hour later, I was fully recharged and ready to get to work. First, I moved the supplies from the van to a storage room and then reorganized the goods I transported in the morning. I took out the chicken and duck from the refrigerator, packed them into over 100 small vacuum-sealed bags, and stored them in a large freezer in the cave. After finishing all the work, I looked at the time, and it was already 9 p.m. I double-locked the main door and secured all the windows and doors before turning on the big TV in the living room and tuning into CTV1. The lottery was about to start. Seated on the sofa, I stared intently at the TV screen, my heart pounding with nervous excitement. At 9:15 p.m., the lottery numbers were drawn on time. Red ball 1, red ball 2, red ball 3, red ball 6. Oh my goodness, all the red balls matched. Wait, now for the blue ball. Let me check again. Wow. Oh my god, I got all the numbers right. The total prize is 890 million. I jumped up from the sofa, running around the house in excitement. I struck it rich, really struck it rich. I'm going to buy a mansion, travel the world, enjoy delicious food. I feel like laughing, crying, and screaming. Laughing because I finally have money, crying for the hardships of my past life, and screaming from sheer excitement. I'm so thrilled. I'll go claim the prize first thing tomorrow morning. Suddenly, my phone made a strange noise, alerting me through the app connected to my rental property's camera. Startled, I sat up and hurriedly checked my phone. What's happening? It looks like a burglary. I stared in disbelief at the phone screen. In the video, there was movement in the dark rental house. A man and a woman entered stealthily using the light from their phones to guide them. Oh no, they hooked up so early. How did this couple get the keys to my rental property? I never gave them to them. Both keys are still in my bag. From what I recall in my previous life, it seemed that the jerk only hooked up with the green TB*TCH after winning an award. Why has the plot changed this time around? Are you sure Cecilia's ticket really hit the jackpot? It was the voice of the green TB*TCH, just as I expected. They came to steal the lottery ticket. Luckily, I anticipated this, and now their plan is doomed to fail. Absolutely sure. While Leo responded to Jolene, he opened the door to my bedroom, switched on the light with ease, and began searching the drawer where I usually kept the lottery ticket. Why isn't it here? Where could it have gone? The jerk was surprised not to find the ticket. Isn't it there? Didn't you say you knew exactly where the ticket was? The green TB*TCH questioned. Of course, I know. You don't realize just how scatterbrained Cecilia is. She only ever buys that one set of numbers, which I can recite by heart. Plus, she always tosses the ticket in this drawer. It's never changed. Leo, who was thoroughly searching the drawer, asserted confidently on the surveillance camera. And she doesn't even care to check if she's won, initially. I used to remind her to check the winning numbers, but over time I got tired of reminding her. I, on the other hand, developed the habit of checking them myself, so Cecilia would never know she hit the jackpot unless I told her. You definitely won't tell her, and you even made a copy of her apartment key, probably all for today, right? Jolene glanced at Leo. Making a copy of the key was just for convenience. I never expected her to actually win big, for your sake. I wouldn't tell her either. Once we find the ticket and cash it, we can go abroad and enjoy ourselves. Leo paused his search to turn and charm the voluptuous Jolene. Indeed, I never developed the habit of checking the lottery results. Maybe I failed too many times and lost confidence. If it weren't for the betrayal in my past life, I wouldn't have known about hitting the jackpot. But jerk. I wonder if the green TB*TCH would still stay with you if you were broke. Where on earth did it go? Why can't I find it? It's always been right here. Could it have been moved? Jolene, help me look around. Check other places too. Unable to find the ticket, the jerk was getting anxious. The two embarked on a thorough search, turning the bedroom upside down, shaking out the duvet, poring over the clothes in the wardrobe, and even moving the bed. They then rushed to the living room, moving the sofa, coffee table, and TV stand, not sparing even a single gap. Nothing at all. I leaned back on my bed, leisurely browsing my phone, watching the scheming couple sweat profusely and pant heavily on camera. The two sat on the sofa, looking at each other, disheartened. Where could it have gone? The jerk stood up, not ready to give up, and began searching again. It's gone. I'm certain Cecilia took it. If you don't believe me, ask her directly, though it depends on whether she chooses to tell you. The green TB*TCH was exhausted. I don't want to tell her about the win. This money should only be ours, but we can't find it. Let me think. We could just trick her into talking. Cecilia is so naive and doesn't guard against me. Let's drop it for tonight. Tomorrow I'll think of how to phrase it and test her. Are you sure that will work? The green TB*TCH was skeptical. Don't worry. Sure, there should be no problem. We'll come again tomorrow night. The scoundrel comforted in a gentle voice. Dreaming of getting my money. After setting the alarm on my phone, I placed it on the nightstand, turned off the light, and snuggled into the soft, comfy duvet to sleep. Although I was the first to arrive at the lottery center, the prize was so large that the redemption process took a lot of time. Thankfully, by around 3 p.m., after taxes, I finally received 2 million. Staring at the long string of zeros in my bank account balance, I vigorously rubbed my eyes. There was a Bank of China nearby the lottery center. I left 2 million in my account and bought gold products with the remaining 300 million. In prosperous times seek antiques, in turbulent times gather gold. There's definitely wisdom in these old sayings. So much money, no matter how I spend it in this life, I'll never run out. With the apocalypse nearing, to make up for the previous life's shortfalls, the priority now is to quickly stock up on supplies, as much as possible. I first went to the busiest dining street in town and reserved 10 tables of the most expensive banquets at the top 5 restaurants, paying a 20% deposit, and instructed them to have it securely packaged and delivered to my hillside safe house by 8 p.m. Then I drove to a suburban farmer's market and bought a lot of seafood, 100 pounds of live fish, which the owner packed into 20 small oxygenated bags and loaded into my van. Today's preparations are done. It was past 5 p.m. and I drove back to the safe house. Beep, beep, my phone rang. It was that scoundrel calling again. Hello, Leo. I'm not busy. What's up? I bought a lottery ticket. What about it? Cecilia, it looks like you're number 1. Could you check your ticket? He began probing. I don't know. I didn't carry the ticket with me. I can't even remember the full number. I always keep it at my rental. You play your part, I'll play mine. I want to see what tricks you're up to. It's definitely there. In the drawer. I can't come back tomorrow. I still have 2 to 3 days of work left here. Resign. I can wait a couple more days. Besides, the ticket isn't going anywhere. Moreover, I don't believe in such great fortune falling into my lap. I've never been lucky since I was born. All right, I'm hanging up now. I'll treat you to dinner when I get back. Good night. To hell with treating you, you faithless wretch. To dinner, as expected. Half an hour after hanging up, that deceitful couple appeared at my rental. Are you sure you didn't hear it wrong? It's really in the drawer. Yes, she said it herself. Let's search thoroughly tonight. But where could it be? After 3 hours and numerous checks, not a single spot was missed. Still not found. Jolene was getting annoyed. Don't worry, baby. Let's look carefully again. Maybe Cecilia remembered wrong. It must be in some corner of the room. Leo hurriedly consoled. Don't call me baby. You're nothing without money. Ugh, I'm exhausted. Let's just go back. Green Tea had lost the last of her patience and, without allowing the scumbag to explain, she stormed out the door. Jolene, wait for me. Leo, the groveling fool, also chased after her. Ha, tire the two of you out, you tortoises. By the time we reached the safe house, it was already past 7 p.m. I hurriedly unloaded bags of live fish from the car, poked them open, and placed them one by one into the pond in the yard. Around 8 p.m. The 50 banquet tables ordered from 5 restaurants had also been delivered one after another. I settled the remaining balance. Then, I stored the packaged food from 5 of those tables in the large refrigerator in the basement kitchen, while the other 45 tables worth were all placed in the refrigerated storage inside a cave. The next day, I went to the grocery wholesale market, pretending to be opening a guest house in the mountains. I bought 500 kilograms of vacuum-packed rice, 10 sacks each of dried noodles and flour, a box each of various seasonings, soy flour, brown sugar, rock sugar, all sorts of canned goods, 10 boxes each of various flavored instant noodles, 20 cases each of canned beer and boxed milk, and 200 cases of bottled mineral water from the biggest store there, easily storable items like peanuts, soybeans, kelp, dried fish, oats, honey, dehydrated vegetables, pickles. Oh yes, I love hot pot, so essential hot pot ingredients were a must, requiring 10 large portions of each type, along with 5 large boxes of hot pot base, 5 large cans of sesame oil, garlic, Sichuan pepper oil, and dried red chili each, plus many of the snacks I usually enjoy, like beef jerky, raisins, spicy strips, biscuits, pickled chicken feet, braised pig trotters. Looking at the long bill, the shop owner was so happy that she squinted her eyes in delight. She not only offered to deliver everything but also handled the loading and unloading. Of course, I couldn't ask for more, to avoid suspicion, and seeing the nearly 50,000 amount on the bill, I exclaimed that I had gone over budget and even asked the shop owner if I could pay on credit, just for show. The answer was no, so I mentioned that I would have to use credit payment. The loading took at least 2 hours due to the volume of goods, and during this time, I drove the van to the nearest Walmart. I bought 5 boxes of sanitary pads, 10 sets of high-end skincare products, undergarments, and pajamas for all seasons, 10 sets each, wool gloves, wool scarves, snow hats, snow boots, and military coats, among other things, apples, honeydew, oranges, mangosteens. I bought quite a variety of fruits. I also visited a pharmacy chain and bought anti-inflammatory drugs. fever reducers, antiseptic solutions, cold medicine, glucose, pain relievers, herbal tonic water, band-aids, filling a large box. The van was packed full. I returned to the grocery store just in time. The goods were fully loaded, and the shop owner was just about to call me. Seeing the van fully loaded with supplies, I felt a significant relief. Now, the supplies were almost completely gathered. The van was too large to enter the gate, so it had to be parked outside. The loaders unloaded the goods outside, and then we transported them into the yard using a small cart. To maintain the secrecy of the safe house, I instructed them to leave the goods in the yard. Why would you want to open a guest house here? It's so remote, and the mountain is so high. Can you even get any business? Someone asked during the back and forth of transporting goods. I don't have the money to build such a house. This house was left empty by an elderly couple who moved to the city. Please, I'm just house sitting, no need for me to pay rent, I explained. Sometimes, hiking enthusiasts stop by to stay overnight, so I thought I might as well turn it into a bed and breakfast to earn a little extra cash. That makes sense, pure profit for you. Sighing, I admitted, jobs are hard to come by these days, and since I enjoy mountain life, earning just enough to cover daily expenses is fine by me, essentially. I was hinting that I was too poor for them to bother thinking about me. In 3 days, the zombie outbreak will occur. Everyone will have to fend for themselves. It took me a whole half day to move a huge pile of supplies into the storage room in the cave, and it exhausted me completely. I hadn't eaten or slept well these past few days, so I decided to treat myself tonight. For dinner, I cooked braised duck and braised hairtail, complemented with a can of beer while eating. I habitually check the news headlines on my phone. Inner city and neighborhood fight escalated into biting each other. Unusually, the deep autumn brought persistent temperatures above 40 degrees in the north. In a neighboring province, a man encountered what seemed to be zombies blocking his way during a late-night outing. It's coming soon. In my previous life, the massive zombie outbreak happened at 7:30 p.m. 3 days from now. That night, I had luckily left work early and avoided disaster. Tomorrow, I plan to buy a final batch of supplies and then stay indoors in my safe house, as the apocalypse might start earlier than expected. Checking the rental apartment's security camera, there was no movement inside today. It seems that the troublesome couple has finally given up. Wendy, are you still in your hometown? How is your mom doing? Wendy suddenly called. My mom is much better now. I plan to return to the city in a couple of days. Thanks for asking, Wendy. I was touched that someone still cared about me in this world. Purple Cecilia, make sure you visit me when you get back. I'll treat you to a meal. Sure, Wendy. After hanging up, I thought about it and called her back. Wendy, there's something important I need you to believe. It was hard for me to say this, as she was such a kind person. Go ahead, Purple Cecilia. Quit your job tomorrow, find a sturdy house, and spend all your money on essentials, especially food. Make sure no one sees what you're doing. A disaster will strike in 3 days, more terrifying than any virus before. Remember, you must not tell anyone, as it could cause panic. I can't explain more for now, but you have to trust me and act quickly. Understood, Purple Cecilia. I believe you. Good luck, Wendy. On the last day before the outbreak, around noon, I went to the rental apartment. I parked at the entrance of the complex and confidently carried 2 large bags of vegetables and snacks that I had bought from the supermarket across the complex to the apartment building, taking the elevator up. Wow, buying so much today. Did you come into money? Chubby boy's grandmother sneered disdainfully from across the hall. No, there was a big sale at the supermarket. I'm just taking advantage of it. I'm going back to buy some more soon, so I can save quite a bit on living expenses this month, I responded with a smile. Just a poor nobody always looking for bargains. Behind me, the door slammed shut with a thud. Once inside the rental apartment, I put the groceries on the coffee table and looked around. The signs of someone having rummaged through the apartment weren't very obvious. Probably the sleazy guy had tidied up again. Opening the fridge, I found a small bag of rice and some meat, a dozen eggs, a handful of noodles, and some seasoning. I took out the only 2 down jackets and 2 thick sweaters from the wardrobe, then packed up the only heavy cotton quilt that weighed about 10 pounds. Carrying 2 large bags of clothes, I walked to the elevator entrance. While no one was paying attention, I hid the house keys in the fire hydrant next to me. Leaving the residential area, I drove to the market and bought a lot of pork, lamb, beef, cured fish, various fresh vegetables, several boxes of chicken and duck eggs. I even bought a considerable amount of sealed pickles. Then I visited an electronics company in the west of the city and bought 5 of the most advanced drones, 2 large telescopes, 2 laptops, 30 power banks, 5 of Huawei's latest model phones, and 20 charging cables. Finally, at a black market on the outskirts of the city, I bought 3 hunting rifles, 500 shotgun shells, 2 large machetes, 2 daggers, and a large roll of barbed wire. On the way back, I stopped at a seed station and filled a large sack with various vegetable seeds, with all supplies secured. The total cost was just under 800,000. On the way up the mountain, my phone beeped. It's been 5 days, aren't you coming back yet? As soon as the call connected, Leo started questioning, clearly running out of patience. It's mainly some issues with the business, but it's almost sorted. I'll be back in a day or two. Tomorrow or the day after, I'll call you when I'm back. Don't be mad, Leo. I'm just worried about you. I know you care. I've got some things to handle right now. Wait for my call. Goodbye. At midnight, I was awakened by a sudden crackling noise. What happened? I opened the curtains and saw a foggy scene outside, with occasional objects hitting the window glass and bouncing off. Is it hailing? The room was cold as an ice cellar. So I hurriedly opened the wardrobe and pulled out a thick quilt. This bizarre weather, just like before the apocalypse in my past life. If nothing goes wrong, a high temperature of 45 degrees will occur tomorrow at 3 p.m. Checking my phone, it was 2:40 a.m. There were messages popping up. This late at night, the residential community group is actually active. What's this about? It's only November and it's hailing, making it too cold to sleep. Exactly. I even turned on the heating. I also got up to add more blankets. This is really weird. Could it be an earthquake? Usually, these strange phenomena occur before an earthquake. Nonsense. It must be a sudden influx of cold air. It's normal for cold and warm air to meet like this. I was too tired and drifted back to sleep. When I woke up again, it was already broad daylight. I opened the bedroom window and looked outside. The sun was already high up, and last night's hail had stopped, besides some residual water stains. The yard didn't seem unusual, and the walls were too high to see anything outside. I found a retractable ladder in the storage room on the first floor, took out the remaining 10 hidden cameras, and installed one at each strategic location, around the top of the outer walls, the front door on the first floor, the staircase entrance on the second floor, both entrances on the sides of the second floor, and under the eaves on both sides of the second floor. The last two I placed at both ends of the main passage of the cave, including the original camera on the main gate, all connected to my laptop and phone. After fixing up everything, yesterday, I bought a large roll of wire mesh, secured it all around the wall, and connected the electrical wiring, extending the plug all the way to the master bedroom on the second floor. After completing all this, it was already past noon. To reward myself for the hard work, I decided to treat myself to a sumptuous hot pot meal. I opened the fridge, took out the ingredients needed for the hot pot, cleaned and prepared them, then cooked the hot pot base in a small iron pot on the stove, bringing it to a boil with water. Then, I placed the small iron pot on the induction cooker at the dining table, added the ingredients one by one, opened a can of beer, and enjoyed eating and drinking. It was so delicious, truly scrumptious. Hot pot and beer, steaming hot, made me sweat profusely, getting hotter and hotter. Suddenly, I stood up. That's enough. I stopped eating. As I stepped out of the room, a stifling heat wave hit me. 3 p.m. It was just like a scene from a previous life. A major disaster that I didn't know how long would last was about to begin. Hey, Jolene, I'll be back tomorrow. Did you miss me these past few days? I took the initiative to call Green Tea. Cecilia, you finally remembered to come back. It's been days without a call from you, leaving me worried sick, afraid something dangerous might happen to you. So, tell me, how are you planning to make it up to me? Green Tea responded with a faux best friend tone. Make it up, of course. How about I treat you to a big meal tomorrow night? That sounds more like it. I'll call you in advance. Great, see you tomorrow. On the last day, I got up early, charged all 6 mobile phones and all power banks. I also topped up several phones with 1,000 yuan worth of call credit and data packages, and downloaded all the popular TV shows and movies on my phone apps. Then I took out the vegetable seeds and scattered them across the front yard and behind the cave. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the plan began. Hey, Leo, I have some great news. I won the lottery. I really did win the lottery. I called the scumbag, pretending to be excited. Really? That's great. Are you back? I am. Got back at noon. Just checked the lottery numbers, and I really won. I'm so happy. I'm rich now. Over 20 million. It feels like a dream. Have you claimed your prize yet? Not yet. Then wait for me. I'll go with you. It's not safe for you to go alone. I'm on my way to the office now, to hand over my work and then resign. I'll claim the prize first thing tomorrow morning. It's too late for today anyway. That sounds good. Shall we celebrate tonight? The scumbag suggested. Sure. I'll call Jolene right away. Let's meet at my rental at 7 p.m. And I have a special gift for you guys, a big one. Just wait, Scumbag and Green Tea, this is going to be a special big gift. At 3 p.m., the headlines in Weibo continuously streamed updates. In a neighboring city's commercial building, a middle-aged man suddenly burst into the lobby on the first floor and started biting the staff, and several people who tried to stop him were also bitten. In a live stream dedicated to comedy videos, several performers were energetically acting in front. Suddenly, An elderly man with a stiff facial expression and flailing arms appeared behind them. He swiftly charged forward and bit one performer's throat, causing the others to panic and scatter. The audience, thinking it was part of the act, commented on how thrilling it was. The IP address was from a neighboring city. At a small fish stall in a local market, a vendor suddenly grabbed a fish and stuffed it into his mouth. As he chewed, blood streamed from the corners of his mouth, grossing out the customers who quickly dispersed. Surprisingly, the IP address was from the suburbs of our own city. The time is now. It's 6 p.m., and in just an hour and a half, a zombie outbreak will engulf us. The apocalypse is upon us. I hurriedly called Wendy. Wendy, remember, from now on, do not leave the house. Lock your doors and windows. There's still a little time left. Purple Cecilia. I'm at my parents' home in the countryside. Don't worry. It's sparsely populated here. We have a big house and plenty of supplies. That's good. Just be sure to stay safe and keep an eye on social media. Okay, Purple Cecilia. Beep, beep. I had just hung up when another call came in. Cecilia, it's past 6 p.m. and we've been waiting outside your rental for over half an hour. Why aren't you back yet? Leo sounded impatient. Leo, I'm on my way, caught in the rush hour traffic. It might take a bit longer. I tried to sound rushed. Well, hurry up, our feet are killing us, Leo complained, clearly getting annoyed. I'll do my best. Meanwhile, at my rental apartment, the security camera captured Leo and a dolled-up Jolene standing outside the security door. I told you not to come so early, but you insisted, and now look. Cecilia could be ages, and my feet are sore. Jolene complained bitterly in her high heels. Jolene, my bad. I thought we could beat the rush hour and avoid traffic, but then Cecilia got stuck. What a foolish woman, Leo said with a sheepish grin, throwing me under the bus. Do we really have to keep standing here? I'd like to sit down somewhere. Jolene frowned. Let's just go inside. I have the keys anyway, Leo suggested. Are you crazy? What if she comes back and gets suspicious? All right then. Sorry to keep you waiting, Jolene. As Leo was smoothing things over with Jolene, the fat old man and his burly son returned home. Hey, what are you doing blocking the way? A good dog doesn't stand in the path. The old man barked angrily. How dare you speak like that? What kind of manners are those? Jolene snapped back. So what if I called you dogs? What are you going to do about it? The burly man glared at Jolene, puffing up as if ready to fight. I say you two are the dogs. How dare you try to hit me in broad daylight? Jolene lunged forward, not one to back down. I must admit, I admire Jolene's guts. She's certainly braver than I was in my past life. Jolene, don't get mad. Don't lose the bigger picture over a small setback, Leo said, trying to calm Jolene down as he sensed they were at a disadvantage. Sorry for blocking your way. We'll be leaving right now, Leo whispered apologetically, pulling Jolene to the side to let others pass. Good that you know your place. If you hadn't moved, you would have seen what I'm capable of, a burly man with a stern face muttered as he watched them retreat. Then, with a loud bang, the door across the hallway slammed shut. Can you believe these people? So rude. How can Cecilia even live next to such neighbors? Jolene, who wasn't used to being treated poorly, complained indignantly. With her penny-pinching ways, she's probably just here because the rent is cheap. Let it go. Don't get worked up, Leo soothed her in a gentle tone. If it were me renting a place here, I wouldn't let them get away with that, Jolene muttered, still not convinced. At this point, I decided to call Leo. Leo, I might not get there until 7:30. The traffic is terrible. You and Jolene go ahead and wait in the apartment. The key is hidden in the fire hydrant next to the elevator. Sorry, I just remembered today has been chaotic. Waiting this long just to tell us about the key. Did Cecilia get kicked by a donkey or what? As soon as they opened the door, Jolene, who entered first, immediately started complaining and quickly plopped down on the sofa. Hey, look, there are 2 big bags here, probably stuff Cecilia bought. This couldn't be the big gift she was talking about, right? It's just some ordinary groceries, nothing special. They closely inspected the shopping bags. No, these are just some cheap vegetables. Is this the poor food Cecilia usually eats? These fools. They'll realize the value of these items after tonight. Leo, Cecilia has really turned her fortunes around. She won such a large amount of money. She's set for life now. Yeah, I really didn't see that coming. She's really lucky. Why don't you marry her quickly then? Let her buy a big house and give you a few million to enjoy life. Jolene said sarcastically. Marry her? No, I only want to be with you. I don't care for her. Compared to her, I'm just a poor man. Don't you dare have designs on me. Don't worry, Jolene, we'll be rich soon. I'll make sure you live a good life. Cut it out. Where's the money then? Show it to me. Cecilia's money is my money. She has to give me every single cent of the 20 million. How is that possible? She isn't foolish. And even if she liked you, she wouldn't give you everything. If you were so sure, you wouldn't have tried to steal her lottery ticket. She might not willingly, but it's not up to her. I'm saying she must give it. As long as you cooperate with me tonight, we can take her. Leo's voice suddenly dropped. Jolene sprang up from the sofa, staring at Leo in disbelief. What? You? This is a crime. Aren't you afraid? Though I didn't hear all of what Leo said next, Jolene's shocked expression said it all. He must be planning to steal my lottery ticket, and then, they cornered me into a dead-end situation. Watching the two people on the surveillance screen and listening to their conversation, I initially felt numb, then uncontrollably began to tremble, collapsing onto the sofa. My God, what kind of demon is this? How could I have fallen in love with him? I feel like gouging out my own eyes. I tried to calm down and glanced at the clock on the wall. It was 6:40 p.m. Forget it. I might as well fill my belly first. As for that scumbag and the manipulative girl, there's no need to bother with them now because their retribution is about to begin. I took out several dishes from the fridge that the restaurant had delivered a couple of days ago, a box of boiled pork slices, a box of steamed crabs, a box of stir-fried beef, and a pot of pig's stomach chicken soup, and heated them in 2 microwaves. After the food was warmed, I set everything on the dining table and opened a can of beer to enjoy with my meal. It was so relaxing. By 7:12 p.m., after having my fill of food and drink, with 18 minutes remaining, I quickly ran to the yard's gate to check the anti-theft locks, then returned to the main hall on the first floor, double-locking the entrance door, drew all the blackout curtains across the rooms on the first floor, did the same for the second floor, then entered the master bedroom, locked the door, drew the curtains, and went to the desk to turn on the large desktop computer to meticulously review the surveillance of every corner of the courtyard. Okay, all clear. Checking the time again. With just 3 minutes left, I busily placed my phone on the desk, accessed the surveillance page, and adjusted the camera to focus on the living room window of the rental house, which directly faced the street, allowing a clear view of the street scene. It was the rush hour, and the street was packed with pedestrians and congested vehicles. Nothing unusual spotted yet. Time ticked by. At 7:30 p.m., my heart suddenly started racing. A middle-aged man walking on the street suddenly began to run, charging straight into a young woman, pinning her under him while opening his gaping mouth. Several bystanders quickly intervened, pulling the man away. After releasing the woman, he turned and started biting an elderly man. Strangely, the young woman he had bitten got up, her face grotesquely mangled and her eyes vacant, horrifying the surrounding pedestrians, who screamed and scattered. Screams continued to echo as the crowd rapidly became agitated. Vehicles honked loudly and moved erratically, creating chaos on the streets. What's happening outside? I don't know. Looks like a car accident. Drawn by the noise, Leo and Jolene rushed to the window to look outside. Look, that person's head has a huge hole. And that person with blood streaming from his eyes is running. And there are so many monsters biting people. Jolene screamed in terror. It might be a filming of a horror movie. It doesn't look like it to me. Look how chaotic the whole street is. Do they need so many people for a horror movie? Jolene was skeptical. What's so weird about that? You see how those big Western movies are shot, right? I'm going to call Cecilia again. That foolish woman. Why hasn't she come back yet? Leo, who only cared about money, moved away from the window. The phone rang. Beep, beep. I hurriedly turned the volume of the surveillance up to the maximum, took a deep breath, and began to act. Leo, help. There's so much blood. I'm so scared. Sob. I screamed hysterically, accompanied by the background noise from the surveillance. What's wrong? Where are you? Do you have the lottery ticket on you? Hey, Cecilia. I'm on the street. Leo, save me. They're going to bite. I abruptly hung up the call. Hello, Cecilia. Where exactly did you put the lottery tickets? The only response was the dial tone. What's happened to Cecilia? Leo's shout drew Jolene from the window. Could it be, my God, is what's happening outside real? Seeing Leo's stunned expression, a sudden realization hit Jolene. Her face turned pale, and she collapsed to the floor with a thud. Without helping her up, Leo darted back to the window like an arrow, staring blankly outside. It's all over. What do we do now? Sitting on the floor, Jolene muttered to herself, trembling as she slowly crawled towards the door. Just as her hand touched the doorknob, Leo, snapping to his senses, rushed over to stop her. Are you crazy? Going outside now is a death sentence. If you don't believe me, I'll show you. Leo pulled Jolene to the bedroom. I shifted the surveillance camera there too, clearly showing the entrance of our complex. The scene was horrifying. Not only was the closed gate smeared with blood, but there were also severed limbs hanging on it, and what was worse, many zombies were furiously banging on it. The guards in the duty room had long since vanished. See for yourself. Can we even get out? Isn't it suicide? Leo pointed outside. But I don't want to stay here. It's all Cecilia's fault for making me come to this godforsaken place. And you, Jolene, clenching her fists, frantically charged at Leo. Enough, Jolene. Wake up! If I hadn't brought you here earlier, You'd be just like those outside, turned into a zombie. In a swift move, Leo dodged and firmly embraced Jolene. Leo's words calmed Jolene down instantly. Please, no more foolishness. I'm going to make some food. We need to stay alive first. Thud. A pop-up notification on the WeChat page on my phone screen. Hundreds of new messages flooded the tenants group chat of the rental complex. Oh my god, how terrifying. Can someone tell me what exactly is going on? They look like zombies. Is it the apocalypse? What should we do? I haven't even stored up food. What's there to fear? Our country is so strong. Handling a few zombies is no big deal, right? It should be resolved quickly. Maybe we can even go to work as usual tomorrow. Quick, everyone, check the latest news headlines. Most major cities have fallen. TikTok's official sources are also live streaming, urging everyone not to go outside and to secure doors and windows, saying it's a zombie virus. But how will we buy food? Will the government deliver it to our doors? Everyone should fend for themselves. Conserve whatever food and drink you have at home. This virus seems much worse than the outbreak 18 years ago. Absolutely lethal. Everyone should also fully charge their phones and store as much water for daily use as possible. It looks like water and electricity might be cut off soon. There are still many kind-hearted people in the community. May their fortunes shine and help them survive this ordeal. Inside the rental, Leo, what is this you've cooked? It's awful, Jolene complained, picking at the dishes on the table with her chopsticks. Jolene, this is all Cecilia had in her fridge. Just make do with it. Leo explained, I don't want to eat. I'd rather starve than eat this swill. Jolene angrily threw her chopsticks down, stood up from the dining table, and lay down on the couch nearby. Leo shook his head helplessly. Upon closer examination, there was a plate of green peppers stir-fried with pork, a plate of scrambled eggs with tomatoes, a plate of stir-fried vegetables. Wow, quite a feast. Usually, I wouldn't even indulge in this, yet Jolene still complains. Do you realize this might be the last lavish dinner you two ever have? Soon, not just meat, but even drinking water will be a luxury. I wonder if your pretense will hold up then. First, check the headlines, then scroll through Weibo. Oh, it's tragic. From east to west, from north to south, zombies have overrun all cities big and small across the country. The internet is flooded with gruesome videos and images, and the once busy city streets show no sign of life apart from the eerie zombies. Even though I was prepared, the reality is still hard to accept. In my previous life, I died early and never knew how long the zombie virus lasted or how many people survived. Sigh. I wonder if I can make it through this time around. It wasn't until dawn the next morning that I realized I had somehow fallen asleep without noticing. First, I checked the surveillance on my computer for any unusual activity outside the gate and inside the house and rooms. Everything seemed normal. I went downstairs to the kitchen, took out a carton of milk, and heated it in the microwave. I poured a small packet of cake mix into a stainless steel bowl, added 4 eggs and some water, mixed it well, and put it in a bread oven. 30 minutes later, a plate of fresh, golden cake was ready. With milk and cake, I opened my laptop, connecting the smartphone surveillance setup to it. The camera showed a rental house dining table with a dish of side vegetables, 2 bowls of millet porridge, and 2 boiled eggs. Jolene, visibly angry, leaned against the living room couch while the scoundrel Leo stood beside her, pleading softly, Jolene, you should eat something, otherwise, it'll upset your stomach. What is this even? I'm not used to eating any of this. I didn't have a choice, did I? You could at least have some porridge. I won't eat. I want to go out. Go out. Do you see any living people outside? It's all zombies. Do you have a death wish? If I don't go out, I'll go crazy, Jolene roared. Why are you so stubborn? I'm doing this for your own good. It's clear that the scoundrel truly cares for Jolene, otherwise he wouldn't be so patient, but I wonder if this affection can persist when it comes to life and death. I'm quite curious to find out. A folded thin blanket lay on the couch, suggesting they slept separately last night. Outside the living room window, the surveillance camera showed disordered streets, closed shops, and more zombies wandering aimlessly and moving stealthily. I turned on the TV to check the news, only to find that all channels had stopped broadcasting. What do we do now? The outside is full of zombies, and we can't go out today. Are we still going to work? Can the kids go to school? You're still thinking about work and school. Haven't you seen the news? The government has announced that all citizens must stay indoors and save water and electricity. We usually don't cook at home. We always order takeout. What do we do now that there's no food? Exactly, my grandson is throwing a tantrum wanting fried chicken legs, and I'm worried about going out to buy some. Everyone should just stay calm and stay home. It's crucial to stay safe. The conversation resumed in the tenants group chat of the rental complex. Sigh. I'm currently enjoying the comfort of my spacious and safe home, with an abundance of food and every amenity one could wish for. Truly a delightful situation. I've temporarily turned off my cell phone. Too many messages to bother with. It's better to quiet my mind and savor life. Today's weather is wonderfully pleasant. Despite nearing winter, there's still a warm sun. I exercised in the yard for a while, then laid under a light blanket on the lounge chair on the second floor balcony, applied a beauty mask, opened my laptop, and listened to some pop music. It felt blissfully divine. For lunch, I brought out some restaurant leftovers, fish and frog with spicy peppers, braised eggplant, and a smooth meat soup, paired with a freshly steamed bowl of rice, utterly delicious. After a post-lunch nap and 30 minutes of yoga, I spent 2 hours improving my English speaking and listening skills, which I had downloaded a few days ago in preparation for future world travels. Later, I trimmed the flowers and plants in the yard. After 6 p.m., I started preparing dinner using the leftover spicy pepper sauce from lunch to make a bowl of noodles, topped with 2 sunny side-up eggs. Just looking at it made my mouth water. After dinner, as night fell, I cleaned the kitchen, secured all the doors and windows on the first floor, fetched some fruits from the storage room, and carried them upstairs to the master bedroom. I reclined on a lazy chair, enjoying some fruits while binge-watching a series. I finally fell into a deep sleep late into the night, overwhelmed by fatigue. The next day, the third day, each day began with waking up naturally, followed by breakfast, exercise, lunch, a nap, more studying, household chores, dinner, surfing the internet, and more binge-watching, a relaxing and repetitive routine. On the 8th day of this isolation, I powered up the phone I had turned off. My WeChat was overwhelmed with unread messages, too lazy to sort through them all. I cleared them and looked at the latest chats. The most active chat group was from the landlords of the rental properties. Neighbors, does anyone have extra food to sell? We've run out of supplies and have nothing left to eat. I don't have any food left either. The adults and kids have been hungry all day. I'm willing to pay a high price for some food. I'll offer 500 yuan for 10 kilograms of rice or a box of instant noodles. That's funny. Even if you offered 5,000 yuan, who would sell their food? Food is priceless now. Exactly. Besides, who even has extra food? We barely have enough for ourselves. Then I'll offer 5,000 yuan. You must understand. That's 500 times the usual price. Besides, the government should rescue us soon. If your supplies can last another 10 days, it's better to sell now. I'll pay 6,000 yuan. Anyone selling? I'll pay 7,000 yuan. Sell to me. You're all being unfair. I'll offer 10,000. It turned into an auction. You all are insane, driving up prices and disturbing the peace. Right, we should trust the government. I'm sure within 3 days, they'll find a way to help us. Don't end up dying of poverty instead of hunger. I don't care. I have elderly and children at home. I can't wait. If anyone is willing to sell, I'm ready to pay 10,000 yuan. I can spare some food to sell to you. Let's chat privately on WeChat. Some people are always ready to make a quick buck. Alas, so short-sighted. They'll regret it later. Clicking on the rental property's security camera, Leo, the scoundrel, was alone on the living room sofa, his hair a mess, stubble on his face, still wearing the same clothes from 8 days ago, staring blankly at the ceiling. Where was Jolene? Just then, the bedroom door opened, and Jolene appeared. She looked much thinner than a few days ago, her originally oval face now sharply pointed, wearing a thin nightgown of mine, wrapped in my sports jacket. I listened as Green Tea bossily demanded, Leo, I'm hungry, go make something to eat. Hearing the noise, the scumbag glanced sideways at Jolene before turning back to stare at the ceiling, remaining silent. Hey, I'm talking to you. Don't pretend you can't hear me, Jolene said, growing impatient when she was ignored. Unexpectedly, Leo not only continued to ignore her but also suddenly flipped over on the couch to face the wall, turning his back to Green Tea. This infuriated Jolene. She stormed over, yanked off the thin blanket covering Leo, and yelled, I asked you to cook. Are you deaf? Finally, Leo couldn't stand it anymore and sat up, looking at her with a mocking sneer. Hey, weren't you the one who refused to eat my cooking just a few days ago? Now you're acting like a starving ghost every day. Well, guess what? There's none left. You want to eat now, but there's nothing. I don't believe you. You just want to trick me into eating more. Didn't you just cook meat the other day? Don't believe me. Go check for yourself. The scumbag shouted back excitedly. I just don't believe it. It's impossible. Jolene gave him a suspicious glance and headed towards the kitchen. After a series of clattering sounds, Green Tea's sharp cry followed. Leo, there's nothing in the fridge. You must have hidden all the food, you bastard. Before she could finish, Green Tea stumbled out of the kitchen, crying and cursing at the scumbag. Are you trying to starve me to death? Bring out the food. I need to eat. You want to eat. I want to eat too. I've been hungry all day, the scumbag retorted unusually sternly. Leo, from today onwards, I'll listen to you. I'll eat properly, eat more. Please, give me something to eat. I'm really hungry. Seeing that being tough didn't work, Green Tea tried a softer approach. Want to eat more? Too bad. It's too late. There's nothing left. Only starvation awaits. The scumbag became increasingly impatient. Then go outside and find something to eat. I really will eat properly this time. No matter how bad your cooking is, I'll eat it all. You have to believe me. Jolene, oh Jolene. It's rare to see such a proud green tea bitch finally soften up to a deadbeat scumbag, and especially to someone she never really respected. Oh, how the tables have turned, me. Go outside to find food. Are you trying to send me to my death? Jolene, your heart is really poisonous. That's not what I meant. I meant ask the other people in the community for some food, or maybe buy some. I'll pay for it. Green tea quickly explained, scared. If you want food, go get it yourself. My life is not cheaper than yours. Leo, I'm really starving. Please, go find me something to eat. Don't you like me? Tonight, we can sleep together, and from then on, I'll be yours. Alas, Green tea, just for a bite to eat, was actually willing to trade her own body. This situation is disastrous and shameless. It seems the sleazebag got his way, but who would have thought? Go, go. Who wants to sleep with you? Look at that horrendous face of yours. How can I even bear it? He said with a tone full of disdain. It was quite unexpected. Wasn't he always obsessed with the alluring woman? To get to her, he purposely got close to me and even tried to steal my lottery ticket. Leo's words stunned Jolene. She couldn't believe her ears. Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? I can't understand how I ever fell for someone as unattractive as you. He continued to berate her. Jolene ran into the bedroom and sat at the vanity, staring intently at her reflection, her face too thin and gaunt, her skin dull and pale without any glow, her eyes swollen and lifeless, her lips cracked. She looked nothing like her radiant self before. Her beauty, which she used as a weapon against Leo, was gone. Jolene collapsed onto the bed, tears welling up in her eyes as she shook her head in disbelief, crying, "Just 8 days in, and you're already breaking down. The real drama has just begun." On the 10th day at noon, the delicious chicken soup, freshly cooked braised fish, and vibrant stir-fried greens filled me up completely. I took a stroll in the yard, watered the flowers and plants, and played with the lively fish in the clear pond. Feeling as blissful as a deity, suddenly, the alert tone of my phone's surveillance system went off. The surveillance camera at the front door of the rental house showed 2 heavy-set men, an older and a younger, standing outside my door, their eyes filled with a vicious intent. "She must have food at home. Your mom saw it herself. That girl across brought back lots of supplies that day. Why didn't mom say earlier? What if she has eaten it all? The kid has been starving these past few days. It would be trouble if we can't find any food. She's eaten it all. Impossible. With so much food, that girl can't finish it with her small appetite." That's reassuring. I'll knock on the door, make her hand over the food willingly, or else I'll kill her. The robust man brandished a kitchen knife. Good. If she doesn't open up, we'll smash it. The old man raised the axe he was carrying. Seeing this scene, my head buzzed, and I broke into a sweat. It felt like a past life was repeating itself, and I felt a bone-searing pain throughout my body. Tragedy was about to repeat itself, only this time I wasn't the protagonist. Soon, we'll see who among these executioners from my past life will survive. The knocking sounds began. "Who is it?" Jolene's feeble voice came from inside. "Open up, hand over the food, or I'll smash your door. I've had no food left for 3 days now." Jolene hurriedly explained. "Stop lying. Open up. We need to check ourselves," the old man said as he started to smash the door with his axe. Thud, thud, the not-so-sturdy security door began to crack. "Wait, stop, I'll open it. Isn't that enough?" Jolene's pleading voice came from inside. The door slowly opened, and the old man and his robust son stepped in swiftly, standing behind the living room table. Jolene, terrified, watched as the 2 uninvited guests with weapons entered. Where's Leo? The sleazebag? Just as she pondered, the door that had been left open quietly shut, and a figure swiftly emerged from behind it, wielding a long fruit knife, and stabbed the unsuspecting father and son in the back, 1 stab each. Clean and precise, the overweight old man and his sturdy son collapsed straight to the ground without even a whimper, convulsing a few times before lying still. Jolene screamed in fright. "Shut your mouth," Leo said fiercely. As Jolene saw the blood-dripping knife in the scoundrel's hand in his fierce gaze, she quickly covered her mouth, ran towards the bedroom, and slammed the door shut. Leo walked over to the father and son, squatting down to check carefully and confirming that both were dead. Suddenly, he looked up at the surveillance camera and smiled mysteriously, causing me to drop my phone in fright. I sat in a daze for a long while before I burst into tears, crying so hard that I almost couldn't breathe. I've had my revenge. I've finally avenged them, by giving them a taste of their own medicine. These 2 demons finally experienced being butchered and eaten by others. The 400+ pounds of fat would allow Leo and Jolene, this despicable couple, to linger on a bit longer. But no matter, your turn is coming next. Murder, murder at 8:14. The old man's daughter-in-law suddenly posted a message in the homeowners group. Murder, that girl from 814 daring to commit murder. It's more likely someone would kill her, no one believed. It's true, she had a man hiding in her house. My husband and father-in-law must have been killed by that man. Oh, I need revenge. I don't believe it. Those two in your family are tall and strong. How could an ordinary person kill them? I think it's more likely that they tried to break in and rob, seeing that the young girl looked pretty and harbored evil intentions. No wonder I heard a loud banging on the door just now. It must have been those two. Pfft, I thought it was something serious. Nowadays, it's normal for so many people to die every day. What's so unusual about your case, right? Just last night, several homeowners climbed over the fence to find food, and none have returned since. Probably more bad luck than good, not just last night. People go out to die every day. Alas, if you don't go out, you starve. If you do, you risk getting bitten. Tough choice. My neighbor across the door ran out of food days ago and hasn't made a sound. Probably the whole family starved to death. Since the outbreak of the zombie virus, many died in our complex, many while returning from work. Who cares about whom these days? My home is also about to run out of food, and starving isn't far off. My home is out of food too. My child is barely alive. I'm going insane. I might as well start killing. Heh, soon it will be survival of the fittest. Who cares about others anymore? Half a month. Time passes day by day. Entering winter, the weather grew colder. I put on my thick fleece-lined wool sleepwear, wool socks, and stepped into waterproof cotton slippers. Both the living room and bedroom had the fireplace going, with doors and windows tightly shut. It was quite warm. The house was spacious. Running up and down the stairs counted as exercise. At night, under the soft down comforter, lying sideways on the wide memory foam bed, I browsed short plays on my phone, with my favorite snacks on the bedside table, very comfortable indeed. In the morning, when I got up, I saw goose feather like heavy snow falling outside the window, the surroundings a pristine white, utterly beautiful. I checked the weather forecast. The outdoor temperature has dropped below minus 20 degrees Celsius. Fortunately, a few days ago, I had harvested all the mature vegetables and fruits from the yard and behind the cave, storing them in the crisper of the refrigerator on the first floor kitchen, wrapped with insulation film. Otherwise, they would have been ruined by the snow. After washing up, I fried 2 dough sticks with flour and made a cup of soy milk, enjoying a simple breakfast. Then, I put on an army coat, a snow cap, waterproof cotton gloves, and snow boots, and went outside to have some fun building a snowman in the yard. After tiring myself out, I returned inside to enjoy a hot pot for lunch. As for dinner, it was stewed lamb. Hey, where did that scoundrel and the green tea lady go? How come they've disappeared? Starved to death? Impossible. 400+ pounds of meat would keep them going for at least half a year. Just as I was pondering, oh, I'm freezing to death. Leo, come closer. From under the pile of quilts on the bedroom bed, voices could be heard. So, they were here. Don't hog all the blankets. Damn it, I'm still freezing. It's so cold, so cold. Cecilia, how come there are only these thin blankets in your house? How are these supposed to get us through the winter? I remember she had a thick cotton quilt. Why can't we find it? And the down jacket is gone too. I've seen her wear it a few times, but it's nowhere to be found. Wow, did she do this on purpose? Definitely. As soon as they finished speaking, the scoundrel and green tea lady simultaneously threw off their blankets, revealing their bewildered faces. She must still be alive, hiding somewhere we don't know. I knew she wouldn't be that foolish. How could she possibly share such a large sum of money with us? So, the money is still there. The scoundrel, with a shabby beard, sat up excitedly, his eyes gleaming with a beast-like greed. You two fools finally figured it out. Beep, beep. My phone rang. It's connected. Really connected. Green tea lady also sat up excitedly. Shoo, keep quiet. I couldn't pretend anymore and answered the phone. Hello, Cecilia. Is that you? Hello, Cecilia. It's me. I answered lazily. Oh my God, that's great. You're still alive, Cecilia. I was so worried about you, worried about me. That doesn't sound right. You should be worried about my prize money, Cecilia. How can you say that? I was really worried about you. Where are you now? I'll come to find you right away. Are you crazy? Can you even get out? Zombies are everywhere outside. Green tea lady quickly intervened. Shut up. For Cecilia, I'd climb mountains and cross seas. For me, money is what you care about. How touching. Too bad I have nothing to offer. What do you mean? My love for you doesn't need repayment. Is that so? I was thinking about giving you half of the prize money, but now, alas, I intentionally trailed off. What? What about the prize money? Cecilia, you have to tell me. The scoundrel couldn't keep up his act any longer. It's gone. I've spent it all. Haha, that was exhilarating. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Have you lost your mind? That was a huge amount of money, and you just spent it all. Do you think I'm a fool? The scoundrel roared hysterically. Leo, oh Leo, you are indeed a fool. What use is money now? People are nearly wiped out, and you're still worrying about my money. If that's not stupid, what is? Let me tell you. I spent that money on a big villa and stocked up on loads of supplies. No, I'm living well, eating well, happy as can be. I snapped and sent him several photos of the supplies filling the house, a picture of the lamb soup pot and fine wine I was enjoying, a sweaty selfie, and a close-up of the nearby heater. Cecilia, it looks so warm where you are. I'm coming to find you. My goodness, Cecilia, you have so much delicious food. I want some. Seeing the photos I sent. The scoundrel and the green tea girl drooled with envy. Too bad it's too far for you to reach. I sighed on purpose. Where are you? I'll find a way to get there. Me too. Forget it. Stepping outside is a death sentence. You'd better stay safe in my rental. But we haven't had normal food in so long. It's worse than death. How about this? I'll send some supplies over with a drone. I thought of a plan. Then send us lots of delicious things. We want meat and rice. The scoundrel and green tea girl were thrilled. Don't worry, I will. An hour later, oh my god, did you see? A drone delivered a lot of supplies to 814. I saw it too. There's meat and rice, and instant noodles. Yes, it was from DJ. I saw it clearly. We've starved so many people, and she's still eating so well. No, I want some. Me too. And me too. Thud, thud. The sudden banging on the door startled Leo and Jolene inside, who were ecstatic about the meat and rice falling from the sky. What's that noise? Not good. Sounds like someone smashing the door. Oh my god, what do we do? Quick, grab something to defend ourselves. The two inside panicked, fumbling around. It was too late. The cheap security door was quickly forced open under the furious assault of several axes, and a group of people wielding sharp weapons burst in. Green tea girl was petrified, while the scoundrel reacted swiftly. Seeing the situation turn sour, he forcefully pushed Jolene in front of him as a human shield and took the chance to run into the bedroom and lock the door. Jolene, propelled by the scoundrel Leo's strong push, collided with a thug's sharp knife, letting out a final, piercing scream of terror and pain before falling motionless to the ground. Blood pooling around her, the crowd surged forward. Leo, who had taken refuge in the bedroom, locked the door and with all his might, pushed a large wardrobe against it, then dragged the bed to barricade against the wardrobe. Finally, exhausted, he curled up in a corner, trembling with his arms around his shoulders. 2 hours passed, and as the noise outside gradually ceased, Leo finally stood up. He slowly moved the bed and put the wardrobe back in place, listened carefully to confirm it was safe, and then cautiously opened the bedroom door and stepped out. No one was left outside, and the supplies were completely looted. Even more horrifying, Jolene's body was gone, leaving only a pool of blood and some torn fabric. Leo paused for a moment, then suddenly dashed into the kitchen. The end. It's all over now. Glancing at the chaotically strewn living room and then at the shattered security door, Leo collapsed to the ground, drained of strength. Jolene. Oh, Jolene, did you really think you were the love of that scoundrel's life? In fact, when faced with life and death, you mean nothing at all. He once schemed against me for you, but today he schemed against you for himself, leading you to a gruesome end. How tragic and ironic. Cecilia, help me. What should I do? They've stolen my supplies. The door is broken. And Jolene, she's been killed too. Please save me. The scoundrel shouted desperately into the phone, but I'm powerless to help. Use your drone. It can carry up to 100 kilograms. That's actually a great idea. Why didn't I think of it? You're really smart. Just wait then. Half an hour later, my DJI drone awkwardly carried the scoundrel out of the bedroom window, navigating through the complex, over the gate, and hovered low over the street. The buzzing of the drone attracted the nearby wandering zombies, looking down at the swarming crowd below. The scoundrel was terrified. Cecilia, what is your drone doing? Get me out of here. Oh no, my drone malfunctioned. What to do? Leo, you scoundrel, go to hell. I burst into laughter, pressing the release button on the remote. No, Cecilia, don't. His screams were quickly drowned out by the advancing horde of zombies. It's done. He's finally gone. I laughed until tears came out. Lying back on the spacious and comfortable sofa, I stared blankly at the ceiling. After a long while, I suddenly sat up energetically, fetched a variety of luxurious foods from the large fridge in the kitchen: shark fin, lobster, abalone, king crab, caviar, and set a lavish table. Then I took out a bottle of 82 Lafite and drank from dusk till dawn. The weather turned colder, and after a major snowstorm, the city's water, electricity, natural gas, and even the internet stopped. I moved into a cave, using a generator for electricity and a water pump for water, cooking with gas cylinders, with a warm fireplace in the bedroom, and pre-downloaded movies, TV shows, and videos to pass the time. Life was quite enjoyable. Winter turned to spring, year after year. Then, on a day in the fourth spring, the long silent internet suddenly worked again, utilities were restored, and TV channels came back. Major news apps published extensive reports. The zombie virus had been virtually eradicated, a vaccine developed and in use, urging people to bravely step outside, able to work and live normally again. Cecilia. There are no more zombies. We've finally reached this day. Ryan squatted on the ground, looking at me affectionately with his long-lashed eyes. Ryan is my husband, whom I rescued from the snow, 5 years my junior. It was the second winter of the apocalypse. He nearly froze to death at my doorstep one snowy night, and I saved him with my DJI drone, after spending some time together. I learned he was a military medic who had come here searching for an herb that could counter the zombie virus but got caught in an avalanche, losing all his belongings including his phone and compass, and his 2 comrades who were with him on the mission also went missing. Without any means of communication and unable to find his way back, he had no choice but to stay, and eventually, he became my dear husband. Are you leaving me? I asked knowingly as I watched him pack his bags. Cecilia. I need to go back. I'm a soldier. Then go, I said with a gentle smile. His figure gradually disappeared from my view. I gently stroked my slightly bulging belly, wiping the tears from my eyes. With the mobile network restored, it brought some good news. Wendy called first, saying although her family had suffered these past few years, thankfully, all of them had survived, and she planned to return to the city next month and visit me. I also made a comforting call to the landlady, who told me that, except for her husband who passed away last winter from illness, the rest of her family was safe. Shocked, I didn't know how to comfort her, but the landlady was philosophical, saying she had come to terms with life and instead comforted me to always look forward and live happily every day. Finally, she mentioned she wouldn't be coming back to live there. Her son had asked her to sell the apartment, and asked if I was interested in buying it. If so, she would give me a price I could accept. I need to plan thoroughly to ensure that everything is perfect. My aunt said 2 million would suffice, but I voluntarily gave her 5 million. I then flew to her city and finalized all the property transactions. Now, I am the true owner of this hillside quadrangle dwelling. Another spring has arrived, and I was busy cooking in the kitchen when my 3-year-old son came running in. Mommy, someone's looking for you outside. Who is it? I don't know. A handsome big brother, a handsome big brother. Could it be another hiker asking for water, or perhaps someone lost? I stepped outside. Cecilia, I'm back for good. I'm never leaving again, and we'll always be together as a family of 3. I was enveloped in a warm embrace, and tears instantly blurred my vision. Story 2. My husband won 8 million in the lottery and immediately decided to divorce me, asking me to pack my things and leave promptly. I knew the apocalypse was near, with a fierce blizzard about to ravage every corner of the city. Later, I hid in a self-built house in the countryside, delighting in fine food while watching my ex-husband and best friend, driven by desperation for food, kill their own child. In this life, without me, I wondered how they would manage to survive until the end of the apocalypse. 1. I was reborn. On the day Colton loudly demanded a divorce in our living room, I suppressed my deep resentment and agreed immediately. He was surprised by my quick consent, hesitating before asking, "Do you really agree to the divorce? Don't play tricks on me." Glancing at the date, September 12th, 2025, with only 15 days left before the disaster, I had no time to waste arguing with him and agreed outright. I agreed to the divorce. Let's do it right now. I can go to the civil affairs office immediately, but I'm taking all the savings from our account, I declared. As we drove, the man in the driver's seat couldn't hide his smug expression. I struggled to contain my urge to end him, especially remembering how in a previous life he had slashed my throat with a kitchen knife. A fierce look flashed in my eyes. Colton, Eden, I will make sure you pay dearly. 2. Due to the cooling-off period required for the divorce, we could only process the initial registration and division of property at the Civil Affairs Office today. We would need to return after 30 days to formally receive the divorce papers. As we left, Colton tried to show off his generosity in front of me. "I treated you well, didn't I? I gave you all the property, leaving with nothing." I mocked him. "You were the one at fault. Having an affair with my best friend Eden and fathering a child. You still have the audacity to say that. Besides, didn't I leave the house to you? I only took 250,000 from the savings and the pickup truck, which is letting you off easy, so don't act like you're doing me any favors. I could give you the house too. After all, we were married." When he said this, Colton's generosity wasn't an act. He thought I was unaware, but I knew very well that he had won a huge lottery prize, over 8 million even after taxes, and his eagerness to push me out was just a ploy to keep the winnings for himself. In my previous life, I was completely oblivious and tried to salvage our relationship until the day they moved into our house with their child, hand in hand, and I finally realized everything. What's worse, these two had been involved even before we were married, and the child was born after our wedding. Over the years, I had sympathized with Eden, a single mother struggling with her child, occasionally inviting Colton to help her, only to find out I had been the fool all along. When the disaster struck later, the 3 of us were trapped in the house together, consuming all the food. Eventually, they turned monstrously towards me while I was asleep. One held me down while the other slit my artery with a kitchen knife, drinking my blood and consuming my flesh in a gruesome act. I didn't die immediately. My lingering consciousness painfully witnessed their heinous actions. This blood tastes so bitter. Can we really drink it? Of course, what else would we drink? And this meat, look how tender, good thing I kept her well fed, now it's time she repaid us, let's stew her while the gas lasts. Hearing these heartless words, I finally lost my breath. Indeed, because of this, how could I not harbor hatred? I don't want the house. In the apocalyptic world, a house without reinforcements is utterly useless. Especially since the marital home Colton and I shared was so shoddily built that it was barely livable even in normal times, let alone in an apocalypse. With no defensive capabilities, anyone with ill intentions could easily breach it. Since I died there in my previous life, in this life, that house must become the burial site for Colton and Eden. After separating at the Civil Affairs office, I drove the pickup truck away, hurrying home to pack my belongings. The advantage of a pickup truck is its large cargo capacity. Since I was leaving, I couldn't leave anything useful behind. I took all my dowry, every thick quilt, thin blanket, and all the beddings. I didn't leave behind any of Colton's warm clothes, nor my own clothes suitable for all seasons. From the kitchen, I packed all my favorite foods, snail rice noodles, instant Xinjiang fried rice noodles, leaving nothing behind. After I almost emptied the house, I installed hidden cameras in several discreet locations before stylishly making my exit. When I returned to the pickup truck and started it, I witnessed Colton, Eden, and their child returning to the house. They didn't stay long, just quickly grabbed a few items of clothing before leaving, unaware of anything unusual in the house. In my previous life, on the day we finalized our divorce, Colton immediately went to collect his lottery winnings, booked plane tickets on the spot, and took his mother and child on an overseas trip. They were gone for 15 days, and by the time they returned, they were caught by a severe cold snap. Previously, Colton had tricked me into picking them up from the airport. On the way back, because it was so cold, he stripped off my clothes while I was still driving and draped them over Eden and her child. His rough actions nearly caused an accident, and instead of blaming himself, he blamed me, forcing me to stop halfway and brutally beating me. Even their child, whom I treated as my own, took the opportunity to slap me. It's not that my heart is cruel, but they brought this upon themselves. Driving the pickup, I headed back to the countryside overnight. The journey wasn't too far. I could reach there in less than an hour on the highway. Upon seeing my parents, I couldn't help but burst into tears. In my previous life, when the extreme cold arrived, the lines were frozen, and with no water, electricity, or internet, I couldn't contact my elderly parents until I died. I didn't know if they had survived that prolonged natural disaster or how they would cope with receiving news of my death, but fortunately, I was reborn. And the events of my previous life would not repeat. Seeing me cry, my parents became anxious and hastily inquired what had happened. After hesitating, I told them about the natural disaster and how I was killed. My mother stood at the door, crying and cursing their ancestors. My father was so angry that he grabbed a knife, wanting to chop up that bastard Colton. That damn Colton, what a despicable man. How could they treat you like that, if they were together before the marriage? Why not just be open about it? Why sneak around if it doesn't make them happy? I smiled and said, some people are naturally shady and love to engage in sneaky, underhanded deeds, but right now, the focus isn't on them, but rather on rushing to fortify the house and stock up on supplies to ensure we can survive the impending disaster. Our family's safety is the most important, my dad said as he put down the axe, and my mom wiped away her tears. But the old couple only stayed silent for a moment before my mom spoke up first. It seems like the house doesn't need much remodeling. It's newly built. When I was home before, I loved watching those short videos about apocalyptic disasters every day, so we spent a bit more money to install bulletproof glass and reinforce the burglary prevention netting. My dad added, the gate is double-layered, anti-theft grade. Even if an elite squad came, they wouldn't be able to break in quickly. Plus, your mom even had me electrify the fence, my mom said with a laugh. When I initially wanted to build it this way, your dad said I was wasting money. Well, it turns out to be useful now. Daughter, there's more. We secretly built a basement behind the backs of the villagers. We haven't stored much in it. Though, hearing my parents' surprising admissions, I was both shocked and delighted. Mom, Dad, that's really great. Then, hesitantly, I asked, but Mom, Dad, do you really believe what I said? Maybe I just had a dream, and all of this was just a dream. What if we're making a fuss over nothing and nothing happens? My dad said nonchalantly, it's better if nothing happens. Even the things you mentioned, if we bought them, it wouldn't be a waste. Your mom has been wanting to stock up on supplies just in case. If we end up using them, it would actually fulfill your mom's dream. Amid my dad's resignation, my mom and I excitedly started drafting a list of supplies. Our house is located right in the middle of the entire village. Although every household has built new houses, none are as solid as ours. It's a 3-story building with a large courtyard. One side of the yard has a separate parking area, and on the other side, There's a small vegetable garden where we grow bok choy, a family staple. Fortunately, there are hardly any people living in the village, apart from the elderly who refuse to leave. As my mom often says, we can't even gather enough people for a mahjong table, so our safety in our own village can be assured. After the disaster strikes, with the roads blocked by heavy snow and our village's remote location, people from other villages probably won't be able to come over. Coming back to the village is actually a good choice. The supply list, based on information available online, was quickly drafted. However, my parents suddenly seemed a bit troubled as they said to me, "Child, because the house is newly built and we invested a lot in it, we don't have much money on hand." After fiddling with her phone for a while, my mom sent me a transfer of 130,000 yuan. Mom, that's not a small amount. I have 250,000 yuan from my divorce, and I have about 100,000 yuan in savings myself. Altogether, that's almost 500,000 yuan. After saying this, I comforted the two elders. We're facing a natural disaster, not a zombie apocalypse. Natural disasters will eventually end. A year, 2 years, no matter how long. I believe the country won't abandon anyone once the initial phase is over. There will definitely be rescue operations for everyone. We just need to get through the initial phase, and everyone will be safe after that. Hearing me say this, my parents' anxious hearts finally settled down. My hometown is located next to City C, in a small county town called Xinqing. Although it has everything needed, buying a few items wouldn't raise suspicions, but buying a lot would be problematic. When it came to purchasing supplies, my dad immediately started analyzing with us. Heating equipment generally doesn't break easily, and we don't need to buy much of it. We can get that in our own county. As for food, it would be best to head to City C. While 500,000 might not seem like much, it can still buy a lot of stuff. Buying too much locally might draw unwanted attention. That's exactly what I was thinking. I plan to shop in City C because I believe there's a better selection of goods there. I'm also considering renting a warehouse halfway between the two cities. I'll store the goods there first and then slowly transport them back at night to avoid drawing the villagers' attention. My parents appreciated my meticulous planning. Yes, even though everyone in our village is between 60 and 70 years old and we usually get along well, if it comes to an apocalypse, knowing we have supplies could cause resentment. Then, if people ask for some supplies or want to buy, would you sell to them or not? My dad lit a cigarette and after a few puffs, he seemed to agree with my mom. I see you've listed a lot of perishables like meat, fish, and shrimp. Our kitchen fridge is too small to store much, and although we have a spare freezer, it might not be enough given the hot weather. How about this? When I buy heating equipment, I'll bring back 2 more freezers. They're quite cheap these days. A few hundred yuan can get a good one. All right, you've all made your plans. Then I'll just harvest the vegetables from our field. We don't know how long this disaster will last, and getting vitamins is important. I'll also buy some durable goods like potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, and cabbage to store in the basement, which should last us for quite some time. After all the tasks were arranged, it had gotten completely dark. After a simple dinner, the 3 of us went back to our rooms to sleep. The next morning, we each got up early to start on our tasks. My dad was the first to leave. He drove the family's tricycle to the new city market and picked out various heating and power devices, getting 2 to 3 of each. These items did not come with delivery, so after paying, he had to make 3 trips to get everything back home. By the time he finished his tasks, the 2 new freezers were already set up in the basement and plugged in. My mom was the second to leave. Morning is when the vegetables are freshest, even though we live in the countryside and most people grow their own. Our area still has a vegetable market with a wider variety of fresh produce than what we grow at home. But since it was still early, my mom didn't buy much, just enough to gradually replenish our supplies each day. As for me, although I was already on the highway at 7 a.m., I was the last to leave. Driving my pickup truck towards City C, I felt a bit frustrated. It seems I'm the laziest one in the family. At 7:48 a.m., I arrived at the fresh market on time. I carefully selected various types of fresh goods, buying 30 to 50 pounds of each type, since I had to transport them myself. I could only bring them back to the village during the day. It took 2 days and 3 to 4 trips each day, but I managed to store everything in the freezers before they went bad. After dealing with the perishables, I rented a warehouse and then headed to the agricultural market. Our budget wasn't large, so our goal was clear: staple foods that we frequently eat and that are filling, staples, rice, flour, etc. 20 bags of each bag weighing 40 pounds, condiments, oil, salt, sugar, etc. 20 boxes of each, instant foods, instant noodles, canned meats, canned fruits, compressed biscuits, etc. These are essential goods with a long shelf life. I bought 30 boxes of each. Then came the indispensable tissues and sanitary pads, enough for over a year's supply for our family. Finally, the water. I bought 10,000 bottles of 500 milliliters water. This amount of water should be enough for a family of 3. It wasn't nearly enough, but at that point, I was running low on money. After some thought, I decided it might be wiser to invest the remaining money in water storage equipment while the water at home was still drinkable. Wouldn't that be more cost-effective than buying bottled water? Once all the supplies were delivered to the warehouse, I embarked on a days-long mission of secretly transporting them at night. It was only 3 days before the disaster was expected to strike that I finally completed all my tasks. Just as I was feeling quite pleased with myself for managing all this under the radar without the villagers noticing, the 2 massive water barrels custom ordered by my dad were delivered to our house. The commotion caused by their arrival was so great that, even before we started the installation, the village chief came knocking on our door. "What has your family been busy with lately? There's been noise every night." "Diana has been delivering stuff to your house by the truckload for many days now, and now these 2 huge barrels," he said. His words stunned my entire family into silence, and my dad hurriedly asked, "Chief, how did you know about this?" "It's not just me, everyone in the village knows. The elderly have light sleep, and though your nighttime activities were subtle, they weren't completely silent. When they heard noises, they'd get up and take a look. You folks are busy at night and sleep during the day. We've wanted to ask but never caught you at the right time, so here I am," the village chief explained. That made the situation even more awkward. I looked at my dad. My mom also looked at my dad. After pondering alone for a moment, my dad spoke with difficulty. "Well, Chief, I won't hide it from you. My daughter heard through the grapevine in the city that the weather is about to turn very cold, so we've been preparing for winter." The village chief didn't react much, only saying, "Summers are hot, winters are cold. It's been like that for years, but it's only August. Isn't it a bit early to prepare?" As my dad had already spilled the beans, I decided it was time to chime in. "It's not like the usual cold, Chief. I got this information from a reliable source, and although it's unofficial, I believe it's credible. If you trust me, maybe you should also get some heating equipment and store some food at home." The village chief initially wanted to refuse, but recalling the scale of our preparations, he hesitated and finally agreed. "Well, we do use them every winter anyway, just preparing a bit earlier." "Old Lee's family, does this sound good? I'll ask around the village to see if others need anything, and maybe we can all go buy supplies together. Can your truck help make a trip for the village?" Of course, after the village chief left, my mom was somewhat perplexed. His dad, "Why did you spill everything? If something happens, isn't there a saying about killing the saint first in an apocalypse? Aren't you putting yourself in that position?" If the chief hadn't asked, I wouldn't have said anything. My dad replied, "Our village is small, and it won't cause a huge issue. Rather than watch others suffer and feel guilty after the disaster, and face their accusations, we might as well try to help now. If they don't listen, it won't be our fault." The expressions on my mom's and my faces were grim, but since Dad had already revealed everything, it was too late to say anything else. We could only console ourselves with the thought, possession of treasure brings about one's ruin. If only our family had supplies and we didn't share them, I would be the sinner if it came to light. But if every household is prepared, then should anything happen, it was out of my hands now. I remembered that just before I died, a blizzard had submerged the first floor of the city. It was hard for young people to leave their homes, let alone the elderly, so, if we could just endure the initial phase, whatever happened shouldn't be blamed on us. Hearing me say this, my mom wasn't as worried as before, but she still hurriedly rode her tricycle to the farm tool shop, buying several axes, sickles, long poles, and other tools, just in case. My dad was speechless for a while. "You've really been reading too many doomsday stories, haven't you? People aren't that bad, but it's human nature that fails the test every time. Our daughter died tragically last time. Do you want to see such a scene again in this lifetime?" In the silence of my dad, the matter was put to rest. During the remaining 3 days, we were busy helping the villagers with supplies. The elderly were very cooperative. They had lived through hard times and understood better than us the peace of mind that comes with having food at home. Regardless of the news, stocking up on food at home was definitely the right move. Finally, on the eve of the apocalypse, I had some time to check my phone. So far, the internet was peaceful, and watching short videos brought me a brief moment of calm. But soon, I noticed a video tagged by Eden. After his family moved abroad, Eden posted over 10 short videos a day, tagging me in each one. The intent to show off was almost spilling out of the screen. Because I had been too busy to respond recently, it seemed he was getting anxious and started to mock me. Some people are just not born to enjoy life, unlike me, traveling abroad with my husband. In the comments section, our mutual friends either criticized or envied them, but one thing caught my attention. They were back today. I checked the time. Puzzled, they came back a day early. Why so soon? Could be because my rebirth triggered a butterfly effect, and if so, this disaster might not come, but this worry was unnecessary. Although it was 40 degrees during the day, the temperature suddenly dropped at midnight. The howling wind, like wild horses, made it impossible to sleep. I quickly turned off the air conditioner and went to the window to assess the situation outside. The expected heavy snowfall began, and the sudden drop in temperature made me shiver. I quickly put on the thick clothes I had prepared in advance and went to knock on my parents' door. "Mom, Dad, it's getting colder, wake up and put on some more clothes. The most frightening thing about natural disasters isn't the cold itself, but the sudden drop in temperature, from above 40 degrees to below -25 in an instant, with the temperature still dropping. This drastic change was hard for even young people to withstand, let alone the elderly in the village. My dad, in a panic, said, "I'll go call the village chief and wake up the elderly with him. It's too cold. If you hadn't called for me, your mom and I might have frozen to unconsciousness. Dad, I'll come with you. No need. It's too cold outside. You stay at home." After putting on all his winter gear, my dad hurried to the village chief's house to wake him up. By the time the village chief realized the situation and started to wake the other elders, the temperature inside the houses had already dropped to -40 degrees. I kept an eye on the snowfall, anxiously noting that in just half an hour, the snow had already reached ankle depth. I checked my phone for updates, and there were already rumors about the apocalypse circulating online. In just a short time, I had already seen several reports of people freezing to death. As my mom was making ginger soup on the stove, she turned to me and said, "Stop scrolling through those news feeds. Go check on them. They might have frozen to death by now. It's unlikely. Trouble lingers for thousands of years. If they didn't die in their past lives, I doubt this life will be much different." Though I said this, I still turned on the surveillance cameras for that house. In the master bedroom, a shivering child sobbed continuously, "Dad, Mom, I'm cold. I'm so cold." Eden, feeling both sympathetic and irritated, complained, "Diana is really heartless, emptying the house of everything. If it weren't for her, the child wouldn't be freezing like this." Colton agreed with Eden's view and, regardless of the time, called me up. "Diana, how could you? Where are all the thick blankets? Do you want us to freeze to death?" As I stirred brown sugar into the ginger soup, I scoffed. "Thick blankets, those were part of my dowry. Of course, I took them when we divorced. Should I have left them for Eden to use after you've been with her? Do you think I'm a fool? But you took all the warm clothes. What are we supposed to wear?" "What you wear is none of my business. If you have no clothes, then freeze." After these harsh words, I immediately hung up the phone and switched it to airplane mode. When I looked at the surveillance again, Colton appeared infuriated by my response, throwing his phone away in anger. Meanwhile, Eden continuously tried to increase the air conditioning's temperature using the remote control, but it was already -50 degrees. "What good could an air conditioner from the south do, Colton? Let's go out and buy some warm clothes when it gets light, and get some food too. Everyone will probably be hoarding supplies. If we're late, we might end up starving." Colton glared at her and said, "If you want to buy, go out yourself. We don't have a single piece of warm clothing at home. Can you even go out? Besides, we're not broke. Why not just pay someone to deliver it?" As soon as it was light, Colton, not fully grasping the severity of the situation, actually started ordering delivery through an app, but due to the extreme weather, no one accepted the job. Eventually, Colton increased the delivery fee to $30,000, and after half an hour, a rider finally took the order. Due to the weather, however, there was a 3-hour delay before they received what they wanted. When the delivery person arrived, Colton said unhappily, "You're too slow. I'm definitely giving you a bad review." He didn't give the delivery person a chance to respond and slammed the door shut. I turned off the surveillance, muttering, "At a time like this, it's good enough someone took the order, and he still expects punctual delivery." But that delivery guy looked familiar. I didn't think much of it when I turned off the monitor and saw my dad, dusty and weary, coming home. "Dad, how are the elderly in the village?" My dad warmed himself by the coal stove for a while before he spoke. The village chief and I, along with a couple of younger folks, went around the village all night. Luckily, we started early. Many elderly were found unconscious from the cold, but thankfully, no one was hurt. We got the stoves going, gave them some hot water and ginger soup. Now, we leave it to fate. My mom handed my dad a bowl of ginger soup and then turned to ask me, "Diana, this snowstorm looks unnatural, and it keeps falling. What if it never stops? Will it ever stop?" I remember that the snowstorm should lessen by tomorrow. It will stop for a day once it reaches up to our calves, but after that day, an even stronger blizzard will strike back. When I was dying, the snow was about 1.5 layers high, making the roads completely impassable. Hearing me mention the word dying, my parents felt quite sad. After drinking some ginger soup, my dad asked me again, "Will there be other dangers during this time?" I thought for a moment and replied, "It's really just about having enough food and keeping warm. There's nothing unusual about the snow itself, and as long as everyone stays at home, all should be well." Hearing this, my dad finally breathed a sigh of relief. Our house wasn't short on food, but since it was still possible to move around outside, we kept our breakfast simple to avoid drawing attention. We had tomato and egg noodle soup. Just as I was about to add another bowl of ginger soup, The village chief braved the snowstorm and arrived at our home. Lao-san, are you home? It was the village chief's voice. My dad hurriedly responded, yes. I quickly opened the door and invited the village chief in. Diana, be careful. The roads are difficult to navigate. As soon as he entered, the village chief shook off the snow and warmed himself by the coal stove for a while before he spoke. Lao-san, we owe you a lot this time. If you hadn't run to my house to warn me, my family and the old folks in the village might have frozen to death. We really owe you. It's nothing. We're all neighbors. It's natural to help. Plus, it was my daughter who stayed up all night and noticed the dropping temperature. Otherwise, we might have been frozen too. Speaking of me, the village chief asked suspiciously, Diana, I heard from your dad before that you got some insider information about the weather change in Sea City, right? Yes, I mentioned it before. It was an insider tip from the relevant departments, which is why I hurried back to encourage my parents to stock up and to also warn the people in our village. After explaining, I continued, I didn't want to alarm everyone to stock up excessively since nothing had happened yet. My parents only believed me after several days of convincing. The village chief seriously asked me, what about after this? How long will the blizzard last, thanks to your family's warning? Everyone has some supplies, but not much. If it lasts too long, we might not be able to hold out. I'm not sure, but I'd say, while the roads are still visible, we should hurry and stock up on more food, because that's more important than anything else. The village chief stood by the stove, hesitating for a long time, before finally making a decision. Lao-san, can you come with me? I'll have my son drive one car, you drive another, and I'll borrow another car. Let's quickly go and buy more food nearby. As for heating, if we run out of coal, we can burn wood, but we can't delay getting food. I had just mentioned that the blizzard would briefly pause in 2 days, so my dad wasn't too worried and readily agreed. All right, Chief. Seeing that they were about to leave, I quickly said, you can't just drive out like this. I have car anti-skid chains. Install them first for more safety. Also, Dad, buy a couple more barrels of gasoline on the way back. If we need to burn wood during this period, gasoline will be more effective. All right, let's do that. After watching my dad leave with the village chief, my mom and I sat by the fire in the living room, sorting through the vegetables we had bought in advance. My mom said with regret, we bought too much again, and we can't possibly finish it all. I'm worried the vegetables will spoil and we'll have to throw them away. That would be such a waste. Why would it be a waste? I replied, we can eat some of them fresh now and pickle the rest. We have plenty of salt at home, and pickled vegetables go so well with porridge. My mom hesitated for a moment, then said, that could work. We can pickle the cabbage. But what about the eggplants and lotus roots? Maybe we should just fry them. After frying, they keep better in this cold weather. They can even be stored outside. Oh, and I can mix some dough. We can use the cabbage for dumplings too. The trip outside was expected to be long, but I didn't expect them to return only after the snowstorm had stopped. Fortunately, all 3 cars were packed full. Even the roofs were not spared, tied up with lots of supplies. Before I could take a closer look, my dad, like presenting a treasure, placed several boxes of cherries in front of me. Diana loves these. They used to be too expensive. Just a treat once in a while, but with the cold, no one was buying them and the market had a massive sale. Guess how much one box cost? 30 yuan, and I got 5 boxes. My mom scolded, these don't keep well, and you can't eat too much in one day. They'll all go bad if left for later. They won't go bad. We can make jam, and besides, our daughter likes frozen fruit. We can remove the pits and freeze them solid to eat like popsicles. Suddenly, I felt tears welling up in my eyes, and I blinked rapidly, managing to hold them back. The brief pause in the snowstorm was like a final breath of relief for everyone. Taking the opportunity, everyone was clearing the snow in front of their homes, and the village chief was doing his best to distribute food to every household. By the time it was over, another day had passed. Lying in bed, I curiously turned on the surveillance camera to see how Colton and his family were doing. To my surprise, the kitchen and living room were a mess. And after putting on the clothes delivered by a runner, the family of 3 lay back down in bed. Whether they've eaten or not, these 2 have no intention of stocking up. They're going to have a tough time ahead, but their hardship was my pleasure. Outside, the howling wind returned, its sharp, ghastly noise piercing through the air. I covered myself with my blanket and drifted off to a peaceful sleep. When I woke up, the storm had fiercely returned after a brief pause. In just one night, the freshly cleared snow had already reached knee height. Taking advantage of the possibility to go outside, the village chief would remind everyone every half hour over the loudspeaker to stay at home and avoid going out unless necessary, and to contact him if anything came up. Staying home was always dull. As my mom called me downstairs to eat, I once again turned on the surveillance at Colton's place, but after one glance, I was horrified. Eden had been hit in the head. her head covered in blood as she clung to Colton's leg, both scolding and crying. Meanwhile, Colton was stirring a pot with a ladle, and in that pot, shockingly, was a child being stewed. His eyes were bloodshot, dead but with eyes wide open. On closer inspection, wasn't the child's face identical to their own son, Conrad? I couldn't hold it in. I immediately ran to the door, pretending to vomit. Seeing this, my parents hurriedly asked, "What's wrong, daughter?" My mother sensed something was amiss and was about to look at my phone when she couldn't stop herself in time and rushed over to vomit beside me. My father was utterly confused. "What in the world is going on with you two?" Seeing my father trying to grab the phone, I quickly said, "Don't look." However, all three of us faced the same direction, nearly vomiting. After a while, my mother, with a look of disgust, said, "This person. He's inhuman. Whose child is this? It's only been a few days. And he's already cooked the child. Couldn't he have gone out to buy some food instead? This is his own child. You might not see it at first glance, but I'm certain it's his own child." Even my father couldn't help but say, "This is absolutely vile. This man is devoid of humanity. If he could do such a thing to me in a past life, in this life, without any stockpiled supplies, he would definitely repeat his actions." But I never imagined that the first person he would turn against would be his own child. Hearing my calm analysis, my mother suddenly teared up. "Child, was it like this for you in a past life?" "Mom, it's all in the past. I'm back now, aren't I? Once the storm passes, I'll send the video to the police, and he'll be put in jail. He won't be getting out anytime soon." The video was so shocking that our family avoided meat for 2 days. And a 3-year-old child couldn't be fully consumed in just a couple of days. On the 4th day, I asked my mother to cook a big pot of ribs. We had a hearty meal and I even sent a photo to Colton to provoke him. Of course, my phone was still on airplane mode, and I had logged out of any app that could contact me, unable to find a target for his anger. Colton turned it towards Eden. After beating her severely, he whispered something into Eden's ear, in her incredulous gaze. She was driven out of the house. I was puzzled. What's going on? This didn't happen in my past life. Then it dawned on me. In my past life I was the one being eaten. I had died. So how could I know what happened afterward? An hour later, Eden came back looking more disheveled than before, her down jacket slashed in several places, and her eyes and corners of her mouth showing varying degrees of bruising. She looked resentfully at Colton, then surprisingly pulled out 2 packets of instant noodles from her pocket. "Wow. This is interesting. Where did these noodles come from?" "Mom group." "Right." After some thought, I logged onto the long-unused X Messenger, ignored the messages from friends, and successfully found the neighborhood moms group. The moms group, solely created by the women in the neighborhood, is typically used for gossiping, venting about in-laws, group buying, and sharing deals. It's very active. And being part of this group always kept me informed with first-hand news. Scrolling through the chat history, I indeed spotted some clues. What are they planning to do? Nearly every apartment in Building 123 has been raided. Isn't the stolen food enough? Are they planning to continue raiding? Didn't you notice they're going by the building order? I fear they won't stop until they've swept through every unit in the complex. It's terrible, as long as they're alive. Does everyone else deserve to die? We must call the police. We've already called them. The moment the police arrive, they run away. As soon as the police leave, they come back, and somehow, they found out who called the police and killed everyone in that household. Frowning, I finished reading this and scrolled through a pile of more messages to something from an hour ago. It's over. They've reached Building 8. I've hidden some food, hoping I can keep it hidden, but I'm probably not the only one doing this. I hope so. I've hidden some food too, hoping they won't find it. It's useless. The food I hid in the bathroom ceiling was found. These people are monsters, wielding knives, axes, and even guns, though I'm not sure if the guns are real. Building 8, muttering to myself. I turned off the X signal and immediately turned on the home surveillance. My house is in Building 8, and there's no food at my place. Could they spare Colton if they find nothing? If they do, I can't help but laugh. Sure enough, after just half an hour, a group knocked on Colton's door. When the door opened, I recognized the face of the leader. It was that errand boy. Colton recognized him too. In disbelief, he pointed at the man, who without hesitation chopped off Colton's right hand with a knife. Both I, watching through the surveillance, and Eden inside screamed. In pain, Colton collapsed to the ground, cradling his severed arm and retreating backwards, muttering pleas for mercy. I turned up the volume on the surveillance to hear him beg, "Spare me, spare me." The leader asked, "Why should I? I remember your house has no food. Why should I spare you? I can work for you. I have money. I can give you money." The leader scoffed. "It's the apocalypse. What use is money to me? I want food. If you had food, I'd spare your life, but if not, don't blame me for being ruthless." Suddenly, Eden knelt beside the leader, clutching at his legs and pleading, "Save him, kill him, kill him." Amused, the man laughed and asked, "You want him dead?" "Why, he killed and ate my son because we had no food." Everyone behind the leader gasped in shock. They couldn't believe it. One of them remarked, "The apocalypse has just begun. People shouldn't resort to cannibalism yet." There's still food if you're not afraid to go out and buy it. Even though you might get robbed along the way, hearing Ethan's accusation, Colton roared, as if you didn't eat as well. You ate no less than I did. After finishing the meat, you clung to those bones pretending to be sad. Truly disgusting. The leader hadn't expected such a vile revelation. Looking at Colton again, he said, You certainly have a cold-hearted face. I remember this woman. She's not your lover, is she? Colton and Eden both froze. No, she's not. You know, my ex-wife. The leader suddenly started mocking. Do you think I'm stupid? Where is she? Don't tell me you killed her too. We're divorced, truly divorced. I have no idea where she went. She took everything from the house, otherwise we wouldn't be in this mess. You brought this upon yourselves. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Getting divorced is like being dead to each other. No, actually, it would be better if you were just dead. Colton shrank back in fear, but found himself trapped against the coffee table, with nowhere to retreat. Please, you can't kill anyone. We don't kill people. We never do. After the leader signaled to his men, several of them stepped forward and brutally beat Colton and Eden, breaking their legs before leaving them behind. Looking at the two people moaning on the ground, I found myself deep in thought again. Who is this person? They look so familiar, but I just can't remember who they are. Ding. The notification from my phone went off. Sis, I just went to your house. You got divorced. Where are you now? Do you have a place to stay? Seeing the familiar chat history, I finally remembered who this person was. This guy had an accident while running an errand previously, and I happened to rescue him. The car accident was horrific. His intestines were spilling out, and I had to stuff them back in afterwards. We added each other on WeChat. Since we weren't close, we never chatted. Just exchanged greetings occasionally when we bumped into each other while running errands. Is he now trying to avenge me? It might not be just that, but regardless of the reason, I do feel a sense of gratitude for what happened to Colton and Eden. Yeah, it's over. I went back to my hometown to be with my parents. Why did you go to my house? I was just passing by. Sis, you have food at home, right? The weather's been bad lately. Try not to go out, right? You too, stay safe. Exiting the message app, I returned to the surveillance footage. To my surprise, in just the few moments of exchanging messages, Eden, despite her broken legs, managed to crawl up from the ground, took a pot of water and started boiling Colton's severed hand in it. Get that out for me, bitch. I need to attach it back, he demanded. With a sinister smile, Eden responded, See if you can survive first. The villains receiving their due. I disinterestedly put down my phone. The blizzard continued for several days, burying the first floor in snow. The village chief broadcasted several times a day, reminding everyone to stay warm and even made regular calls to check on the elderly villagers, ensuring they were still alive. I must say, the village chief really cares about the safety of others during such times. A few days later, as the snow reached the second floor windows, the outside temperature had been maintaining below -50°C for a while. Even with a stove lit inside the house, the cold was somewhat unbearable. Fortunately, everyone had ample supplies, with stoves burning, electric blankets on the beds, and wearing thick warm home clothes under several layers of blankets. It was just bearable. That's how it is in southern cities. If you can't heat it, you just have to endure it. Unexpectedly, the already difficult days became even more challenging when suddenly the water and electricity were cut off. We were all completely isolated at home. The only comfort we had were the daily calls from the village chief. 3 days later, even the chief's calls stopped, and we knew his phone battery must have died. My dad jokingly commented, At least the chief's old-style phone lasted 3 days. A smartphone would have been dead in a day. My mom, worried, asked, The snow outside has reached the second floor. Can our little house withstand it? Just keep shoveling the snow off the roof every day. As long as it doesn't get too thick, the house should hold. 5 days passed, and when the blizzard reached the third floor, it slowly started to show signs of letting up. At the same time, the water and electricity were restored. Soon after, a loudspeaker outside started broadcasting a message. I hurried to the third-floor terrace, took out my binoculars, and discovered it was a drone carrying a recorded loudspeaker. Attention residents. The natural disaster is not over yet. But there is a sign of improvement. The conditions outside are still too severe for travel, so please continue to help yourselves. We will also be airdropping supplies to address the urgent needs of the residents. Please believe that the government will not abandon its people. Hang in there, dawn is soon to come. The government's encouraging words were always the most effective. Knowing that they hadn't given up on us, we finally felt relieved, and the days no longer seemed as unbearable. Even when I watched the drama series Empresses in the Palace to pass time, I could relax and enjoy some snacks. However, occasionally tired of binge watching, I would take out my binoculars to look for airdropped supplies in the distance. Unexpectedly, This casual act would end up saving our village from a disaster. I put down the binoculars and quickly called my dad inside. I pointed in that direction and had my dad take a look through the binoculars. Right, they are heading our way, aren't they? Those people seem like thugs from the neighboring village, coming over at this time, probably to steal our supplies. They wouldn't risk coming out in this weather for any other reason. My dad immediately called the village chief, who didn't even hang up the phone when he heard that people were heading our way and rushed to his rooftop. Indeed, not far away, a group of people were moving towards our village, inching along on wooden planks. My dad said, "Chief, this is the first group coming. We need to scare them off, otherwise word will spread and more will come." "I understand, but we can't go out either. What do we do?" I thought for a moment and said, "Chief, use the loudspeaker to scare them. Have your son download a gunshot sound on your phone and play it over the speakers. If they think we have guns, they won't dare to mess with us. But we don't actually have any guns. What if they call our bluff and attack? We have to draw a line. Otherwise, are we supposed to just hand over our lives to them?" The chief pondered for a moment, then made a decision. "Hey, you four on the wooden planks at the east end of the village." "Yes, I'm talking to you four. Stop moving forward and turn back now. Otherwise, during these extraordinary times, don't blame us for being inhospitable. The distance was too great, and the village chief had no way of knowing how these people would react. However, my father and I kept an eye on the situation. When we saw the four men hesitate for a moment before continuing to move forward, my father immediately reported to the village chief, "Chief, they are still moving forward." The village chief shouted over the loudspeaker, "You little rascals, are you looking for trouble? Get back home now." However, this seemed to provoke the four men, who moved even more determinedly. Eventually, a gunshot rang out, and everyone froze in place. "I'll say this one last time. Go back. I'm not a great shot, and I can't hit you from this distance. But if you come any closer, I can't guarantee I'll miss." Sure enough, fear made the group retreat hastily after the broadcast ended. The four left. I suddenly laughed. The chief really knows how to bluff, but after such an incident, no one dared to be complacent about the village's safety, and a system of rotating shifts to maintain security was soon established. 13. Perhaps the days were just too boring, but I found myself thinking of Colton again. I had thought that after so much time, he would have died, but to my surprise, he was still alive. Of course, the only one who was alive was Colton. Because Eden had ended up in his cooking pot, I shook my head in disgust. The saying "a scourge lasts for 1,000 years" really isn't false. This man's life is incredibly tough, surviving in -50 degrees with just a thick coat. With mischievous intent, I decided to add fuel to the fire. I removed him from my blacklist and sent him a list of every meal I had eaten recently all at once. The next moment, Colton's video call popped up. "Diana, where are you? Why do you still have food?" I replied, "Isn't it normal to have food? I always love to stock up, you know that. Where are you now?" "I'm starving. Can you bring me over?" I looked at him and said firmly, "No." After a 3-second pause, Colton asked, "Diana, did you know I was cheating on you?" "No. One was my husband, the other my best friend. I had a natural trust in them before our family of 3 went on a trip. I had no idea they had gotten together. It was only when the mother and son duo entered my house and consumed my body that my hatred peaked. Perhaps that's why I got this chance to start over." Holding my phone, I walked from the room to the kitchen. My mom was cooking. One pot was stewing a pork hock, another was frying cabbage dumplings, and beside the stove, there were 2 plates of stir-fried greens. Because of the cold weather, the food wouldn't spoil, so my mom cooked a large pot at a time. Enough for our family of 3 for 2 to 3 days. Although the meals were simple, they were something Colton couldn't even dream of. He nearly went mad with just one look. "Diana, save me. You're at your own house, aren't you? Come save me. I'm about to starve." Colton cried, "Please, I beg you. I won't cheat again. Can we just live a good life together from now on? Think about living together again after the disaster passed. I had no idea where you were or even if you were still alive." Quite a stretch of the imagination, isn't it? But I wasn't upset. Instead, I mocked you to your face after your boasting. "You're dreaming." After hanging up the phone, I turned the surveillance back on. It seemed my words really drove Colton mad. He flipped the pot that was on the stove, but unfortunately, it tipped the wrong way and splashed all over him, in a fit of rage. He smashed things around the house for a while before he grabbed a kitchen knife and repeatedly chopped at the remaining half of Eden's body. He nearly hacked that part of the body to pieces before the knife slipped from his grasp, bounced off the ceiling, and then stabbed him right in the shoulder. Hiss, even I gasped in shock at that scene, but I lost interest in the person on the other side of the surveillance. These pieces of evidence are enough to lock you up for good. Whether you live or die now is up to you. Before dinner, I shared the news with my parents. They were happy for me. Though he's not dead, the life he'll lead from now on will be worse than death. Given the evil deeds he's committed, he'll spend it in jail, never to be free again, his sins forever unabsolved. Of course, if he dies, then that's just as good fortune. After ceasing to pay attention to Colton, I focused all my energy on dealing with the natural disaster. 2 months had passed since the disaster struck. It had been so long that even the supplies we had stockpiled were almost depleted. We followed the example of the four thugs, sliding over the snow on wooden boards to distribute the government's airdrop supplies to every household. At this time, it was crucial for the villagers to stand united to overcome this ordeal together. It was as if the heavens had finally taken pity on us. The heavy snowflakes of yesterday had gradually become smaller today. And they kept getting smaller, miraculously stopping after 2 days. With no more blizzards to hinder us, the government's airdrops became more frequent. However, unexpectedly, the temperature continued to plummet, reaching a staggering -70 degrees. Here in the south, the coldest it usually gets is between -7 and 8 degrees, with temperatures 10 times colder than usual. I couldn't imagine how we would have survived if we weren't in the countryside. Another week passed. And the fog in the air cleared, the dark clouds gradually dispersed, and the sun finally showed its face. The temperature began to rise, and this nightmarish disaster seemed to be improving overnight. Once the temperature rose to -20 degrees, the young people, organized by the village chief, eagerly participated in clearing the snow, not organized by the government but for clear roads, to facilitate visits among everyone. Amazingly, despite countless deaths outside, no one in our village had died during these nearly 3 months of harsh conditions. When the government rescue team arrived and heard about this, they were incredibly shocked and, after learning about all that the villagers had done during this time, specially commended the village chief and my father. Gradually, society began to return to normal, and people started getting back on track once the transportation was fully restored. I drove back to my former home and inquired about the follow-up situation. Colton hadn't died, due to wearing thick clothes. The knife hadn't penetrated deeply, but he also didn't dare to remove it and lived like that for a long time. As soon as the transportation outside was restored, the police, who had already received a distress call, arrested Colton immediately. I turned around and went to the police station, informed them about the installed cameras in the house, and submitted the ID number and password. Now, Colton truly had no escape. Since we hadn't collected the divorce papers within 30 days, our divorce procedure was automatically cancelled, and I legally inherited his remaining fortune of over $700,000. After sorting out everything, I returned to my hometown. In this life, I just want to spend the remaining years peacefully with my parents.